If you've ever been extremely excited for the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's actually tonight. It's also hump day here. So we got to figure out what's going on. We're going to take a look at all of the different news. We're going to take a look at some of the charts. Someone has to make sense of CoreWeave. Somebody, as that prints 160s in the pre-market today. That's going to be our group task here. Where do we short CoreWeave? Because, man, those gains are going to be juicy at some point. Anyway, Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Wednesday, June 4th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you had a great rest of your Tuesday evening, and hopefully your Wednesday is starting off pretty well here today. Rise and shine, as they say. Pete, good morning. Welcome back. Paul, good morning. Let's go. Creation, good morning. This Moj, good morning. Should we talk about Pony? Should we talk about a Chinese AI company that's somewhat flat here in the pre-market? I'll add it to the list. We can take a look, but I don't see why there is anything pressing there. Let me know if I'm missing something. Good morning, this Moj. Thanks for joining. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. It's good to see you again. Lion Atlas locked in and ready to go. Good morning. Yaso Fine. Good morning, Ryan. Everyone, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you, Yaso Fine. Hopefully we find something fine to trade here today. Bernhard, good morning. Thank you, Windows Defender, for scanning my computer literally right now. That is helpful. Just kidding. Bernhard, good morning. Sassy Butterfly Chick. What a handle. Good morning. Welcome. Brett, good morning. Producer, locked in as always. Thanks for all of your hard work. Day Trader, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. JJ, it's good to see you. An apology from me to you because I did not get back to you after I said I would yesterday. Sorry, I put in 13 hours yesterday and I pushed that one off. I owe you, man. I promise I'll get back to you. I really appreciate the time you took to give me some of that feedback. That's one of the ways that we've powered up all of our offerings here, whether it's pro or another subscription. So I definitely have a response for you, and I've actually logged a lot of your feedback already. But we'll follow up on that at some other time. Nasir, guten Morgen. Good morning, my man. Hopefully you're doing well. Are you in Germany? How are things in Germany? Barry the Great, bonjour. Good morning. Smoked Tuna's French language here is spreading, and I'm okay with it, honestly. Stock Trader for Life. Good morning. King Has. Good morning. Jay Harris. Good morning. Yes, rise and grind. Indeed, the early bird gets the worm. The early bird gets the worm. Rooster, good morning. Harris, good morning. Paul, good morning. I'm shaving late, getting up, and I got an eye on a doctor's appointment. I need an early trade. You need an early trade here. I don't know which one's going to move. Maybe this China pump with no news. Maybe that'll be the early trade. Don't know which way it's going to go. We're going to break down those movers here pretty soon. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Cad Monkey, good morning. Quantum Vortex, good morning. Go Panthers. All right. Honestly, I'm going to be okay with either result of the Stanley Cup. I really want to see Connor McDavid get it. We've got a couple of folks from Edmonton in our Benzinga ecosystem here, including a regular on the happy hour. So we'd just like to see that. But honestly, the Florida Panthers are a monster team. And that is Joe Quenneville's team. That they put together before they fired him. Joe Quenneville, of course, the Stanley Cup winning coach in Chicago. So anyway, I'd be happy with either one. I'm just glad sports is back. Ed, good morning. Crowd got smoked. We're actually going to talk a lot about CrowdStrike here today. We've got a story about that. We'll go over the earnings and we'll take a look at the chart. I really want to know where the buy spot is on CrowdStrike, just to kind of give you a little foreshadowing there. Torloff, good morning. It's great to see you. Kerching, not even close the first time around. Kerching, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Zoo, good morning. Neville, good morning. ATL Russ, good morning, my man. Good to see you. White Chocolate Mocha, good morning. James Bond, dude, Yes, I am arguably I'm just going to say it. F it. I am the biggest James Bond fan out there. Love the handle. Good morning. Thanks for having us. The second mouse gets the chase. Okay, that works. Good morning, Jay Harris. Rail, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Sideshow, good morning. Zach, good morning. And Gary, good morning. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. Good to see everybody. Looks like we got a lot of energy going here today. I'm all for that. Let's go ahead and load up the SPY chart and let's start diving into what's going on. Now, we finally have something new to talk about. We are breaking out, not breaking down, at least so far, but this actually gives us a couple of things to take a look at. So leading up to today, we had talked about how I really, really wanted the market to stay above the 582, but kind of trade sideways to bring the RSI down. That actually created a couple of trend lines that formed a triangle, and now we are breaking out of the triangle. S&P futures here up 0.2 this morning, 0.22%. Dow futures up 0.15%, and NASDAQ up 0.24%. So a little bit of green arrows here today. We do have some economic data here today, so we'll see how that changes. We got Bostic at 8:30, S&P Global data at 9:45, ISM Services data at 10. Gasoline and crude inventories at 10:30, and then Cook speaking at 2 today. So we do have some activity. We'll see if it's enough to really kind of change the direction of where we're going, but more green arrows here, and it certainly looks like we are breaking out. In addition to the trend line that we drew, we're also taking out the 593 to 595 area on the SPY that has clearly been serving as some pretty significant resistance leading into this morning. So nice to see us get above that. We actually closed above both those levels yesterday. We'd like 2 more for those to be really firm. So breaking out, at least so far, we'll see where we end up going here on the SPY. Now, before we get into some of the news here, we should really just kind of talk about CoreWeave. And I'm sure I'll come back to this when we get some more folks in here. But man, Ryan is sometimes shaken, but never stirred. I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with that. That's the James Bond reference. Thinking about it, I'll go with that. Anyway, one of the things we really do need to talk about here is CoreWeave. CoreWeave continues to blast off. Gotta think that this is overdone. If anyone thinks that this is not overdone and that I'm crazy, let me know why. Let me know the case. This thing just an absolute rocket. Option prices are crazy, continues to trade up. If anyone's just been straight up short this name, they are in big trouble or not around anymore. It's just been an absolute monster. And here again in the pre-market, up another 5.5%. They had a huge day yesterday. We traded up in the after hours. We tried to pull today, but the buyers were like, nope, we're not pulling, not for very long. Not only did we get back to even, but we actually went higher, set a new pre-market high. So the task that I want to assign to the group, I don't even want to, I guess I shouldn't even say it like that, but one of the things that I'm looking for here, give me your best short ideas. How do we short this? How do we short this with limiting our risk so that there's no possibility of blowing up our account? What are we looking for? What technical symbols are we looking for? Is there a newsprint that we're looking, or is it just unshortable? Do we just kind of wait for this to turn around? I'd love to hear the different ideas. I don't have a short position. I'd like to, because I really do think this is going to come back down to earth. So that's just, it's kind of what I'm looking for here. I was actually looking yesterday. I had briefly mentioned that next week's 100 puts were like a 140 ask. At the end of the day, they were a 136 ask, and that was $12 ago. Was $12 ago. Those are going to get blasted even more. So I'm glad I didn't take those. I think at some point, though, there's a trade here. So if you guys come up with short ideas, I want to hear them. Let's dive into them. Lion here saying a leap put. Those are going to be expensive. Remember, the IV is jacked on this name across the entire chain. Boyce said, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Boyce Gordon. Most shorted stock on Interactive Brokers. Okay. Ed saying, isn't NVIDIA backing them up? Yes, they do have a partnership, I guess is how I would describe it with NVIDIA, but still, at some point, got to come back down to earth, doesn't it? Paul saying step back and wait for the volume to decrease. Super actionable right here. Volume has actually been one of those things that I've been taking a look at, Paul, and I think that you are definitely onto something here. Kathy, the lockup expires on CoreWeave, expired at the end of September. That could cause a significant drop in the share price. So if we actually go to the calendar here and we go to, where are you? IPOs. The IPO calendar here, I believe, is what Kathy is talking about. The lockup date, the insider lockup date is September 24th. And so the thought here is that insiders that have these shares at 5 cents or zero, or whatever their low cost basis is, likely to sell some stock. If the stock is $160, who knows what it would be by September. Kathy, I'm with you on that. I'm almost wondering are we really going to have to wait that long? I'll say this, here we are sitting here at June 4th. If we have to wait till September to have a pretty decent short setup here, this is going to obliterate more shorts. I'll tell you that right now. There's no way that everyone is going to be patient enough to hold out until this lockup date. Nonetheless, though, Kathy, I asked, you gave an answer, and that is much appreciated. So we're going to keep folding all of this stuff in. Sell a call spread out till Jan 26. I think it's too early to short, but would rather buy the pullbacks. Patience and wait for the reversal. Oh, I absolutely love this. All I had to do was ask the group, and you guys gave tons of gold so far. Okay, so we're definitely going to take a look at that. We're going to come back. Danny DeVito, a short idea. Oh my God. Laughing prior to 8 a.m. Arguably one of the greatest things ever. Thank you for that. That is pretty awesome. And good morning to everybody else. Kathy, Terlingua, Eris, Reaching Financial Freedom, Brian, Captain Cloudy, Greg. Good morning to everybody here. Okay, really good stuff. This is not going to be the last we talk about CoreWeave. We're going to dive back in. But first, we have to go through some of the news. And I'm sure I'm going to make someone upset today, but we're just going to cover it. All right. On Wednesday morning, a tariff increase signed by Donald Trump on Tuesday evening took effect, raising duties on steel and aluminum from 25 to 50%, with the UK being the sole partner exempted from this hike. The latest action by the president intensifies the ongoing trade disputes between the US and major partners like the EU. The 10-year Treasury 4.47 and the 2-year 3.96. We talked a little bit about CoreWeave. I'm sure we're going to be talking about it more. We talked a little bit yesterday about Signet. They actually had a really good earnings report, but what I really wanted to get to was the quote from Jim Cramer, because I know we got a lot of folks that don't like the administration. We got a lot of folks that don't like Jim Cramer. Let's go ahead and dive through the quote here. Jim Cramer cautioned that President Trump's erratic trade policies are skewing stock valuations and encouraging short sellers anticipating daily market drops. Now, this is absolutely true, because playing some of these things to the short side had been great for a period there where we were back and forth. You could actually trade both sides, the long and the short side. So we've seen that here. We've all kind of been doing that in some form or another here. From what Jim's saying. The host of CNBC's Mad Money stated that Trump's tariff threats and aggressive global stance are rendering accurate stock pricing almost unachievable. So is this what's happening to CoreWeave? Asking for a friend. Quote, when you examine the market's mistakes, they share a common theme. The president's distorting pretty much everything, especially with his tariffs, and jingoistic. I didn't think I was going to say that word here today, but I'm going to chalk that up as a W. And his jingoistic approach towards the rest of the world. He also explained in such a situation, investors would rather be short as they expect the market to come down every day. Now, this part I really disagree with. First of all, I would never short something that I'm uncertain about. Even just kind of getting into the short to begin with, would rather use something like puts where your risk is well defined or something of that nature, as opposed to just outright shorting. But nonetheless, uncertainty, that doesn't necessarily make for a safe short. Got to be really tactical about it. And the market certainly doesn't go down every day, as the last 4 days in a row are showing. Talking about equities, analysts at BlackRock said in their weekly note that they have flipped back to being pro-risk in April. This came after, quote, it became clear that hard economic rules limit how far U.S. policy can move from the status quo, such as foreign investors funding U.S. debt, end quote. It goes on to say, our U.S. equity overweight relies on that rule, just as another rule supply chains can't rewrite overnight without serious disruption, proved binding on trade policy. This overweight is grounded in artificial intelligence megaforce reinforced by NVIDIA's earnings last week. Again, that comes from BlackRock. So, a lot of uncertainty out there. I was talking to my producer here this morning, and it really does seem like a lot of people are unsure what to do. Jay was bringing up a good point a couple of days ago. Maybe it was yesterday, a couple of days ago. Jay was bringing up a point that there are a lot of people that kind of missed this recent move off of the bottom, and I think that further complicates and clouds things here. Some more. Let's just turn it up a notch. Looks like the S&P futures here ticking down. Was there a newsprint that I missed here? Let me just check real quick. Producer, give me a hand if you can. I don't see anything there. The last piece of news I have is Tom Lee saying the V-shaped rally among the, quote, most hated ever. That's funny. Anyway, S&P futures here ticking down from their pre-market highs, still holding higher here by plus 1/10. SPY there at 596, so it did give up that 597 level. Let me finish off with some of the news. We can take a look at some of the charts here. Peter Schiff is out making some more comments, backing Musk's furious attack on Trump's disgusting BBB, the big, beautiful bill. Musk blasted, the proposed legislation dubbed, quote, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, end quote, calling it a, quote, disgusting abomination that would massively inflate the federal deficit. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it, Musk wrote on X. Now, I'm old enough to remember that all of the complaining that Musk and Trump are going to do this, they're never going to disagree, and they're going to do this and that. Yeah, that is complete and total garbage. They obviously disagree. Also, it appears that their relationship has not been strained. This is how things get done. People disagree with one another, and it's okay. Musk, who stepped down from his role as the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, stated that the bill would push the annual deficit to $2.5 trillion and saddle Americans with, quote, crushingly unsustainable debt, end quote. Economist and market commentator Schiff supported Musk's remarks, labeling the bill a fraud. Quote, it will actually increase annual deficits by much more as the economic and interest rate assumptions are too optimistic, end quote. I don't know if Peter Schiff could spell optimistic, because that is the last word that I would use to ever describe him or any of his viewpoints on anything, to be quite honest with you. His tweets are here in the article. He also says, quote, I'm so glad Elon is willing to call out the hypocrisy in the Republican Party. He is a man of principle. Again, flying in the face with some of the criticism that Elon Musk got. The bill, passed by the House by a single vote, would extend Trump's 2017 tax cuts and significantly boost military spending and border security spending. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that $3.8 trillion to the national debt. It would add $3.8 trillion to the national debt. Thanks for totally moving my article around. God, is that annoying? I will complain to somebody here today. That's super effing annoying. And I'm sorry if any of you have to go through that. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates it would add $3.8 trillion to the national debt, which already stands at $36.2 trillion. On Tuesday, the White House brushed off Musk's latest criticism, similar to how Trump had previously dismissed Musk's objections to the legislation. Quote, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on the bill, end quote. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he is sticking to it. We'll see what happens with this and how this shakes out going forward. Now, before we get to our guest here this morning, who I'm sure is going to pop off, we are definitely going to take a look at CrowdStrike. So let me go ahead and go back to the chart here. We'll start with the chart, then we'll take a look at some of those earnings there. Let me pull it up here and share. Let me actually fix my chart real quick with some of the time frames. And let me get you that watermark real fast. Okay, so here is CrowdStrike. Now, first of all, let's all just take one sec to appreciate the fact that the trend lines that we have been observing here, whether it's large cap tech or these really crappy, junky, small movers, the trend lines recently have been one of our best assets and tools, really kind of helping us figure out what a stock is going to do next. CrowdStrike here on that nice little run before earnings pushed right up to the trend line and got mutomboed, down 7.36% here on the back of that earnings. Looks like some of the concessions and things that they had to do from the huge outage last year on July 19th. Caused flight systems to go down and flights to get canceled in airports. Looks like they're still paying for that. And there was some of that here in the earnings report. Looking at the chart here, we're actually sold right off to the previous breakout level. And that coincides almost with the 20-day moving average. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out here. Do we actually find some support there at the 20? Do we bounce from the 20? Do we end up giving that back, going down to the 50? One of the things that we discussed in the happy hour yesterday is that the 50-day moving average looks to be a pretty good spot for this. If we break it, you are probably going much, much lower. The 200 days beneath it, so that's going to be your next spot here. But otherwise, the price comes into the 50 and likes to bounce, in some cases, running quite a bit here. One of the other times to touch the 50 here, this is back in January earlier of this year, about 352, ran up to 454. So we got 100 plus points off the last time we came into the 50. Let's see if this earnings report is the initial catalyst that brings the price down to the 50-day moving average here. We talked about this last night in happy hour, and I think there were several people that thought the 400 level looks pretty good, and that's pretty much right between the 100-day and the 50-day. So let's see what happens if the price ends up getting down there. The first thing that we can take a look at here, 447.50. That's going to be your 20-day moving average. Can CrowdStrike hang on to that? It's actually rolling over a little bit here in the pre-market, 452. It tried to bounce a little bit. 451.51 is your low print here in the pre-market, and it looks like the stock's rolling over to retest that level here today. So we'll see where that ends up going. Okay. Let me go to the article real quick, and then we'll go to Tim. I just wanted to get some things out of here. CrowdStrike reported first quarter revenue 1.1 billion. That missed the 1.1 billion. Excuse me. That missed the analyst estimates of 1.16 billion. The cybersecurity company reported adjusted earnings of 73 cents per share, missing analyst estimates of 81 cents per share. That is a top and bottom line miss, and the guide was poor as well. Total revenue was up 20% year over year in the first quarter, and subscription revenue also grew 20% to 1.05 billion. Annual recurring revenue increased 22% year over year to 4.44 billion after the company added 193.8 million in new APR in the quarter. Net cash generated from operations was 384 million, and free cash flow came in at 279 million. Quote, we start the fiscal year with record Q1 large deal and MSSP momentum alongside sustained 97% gross retention and consistently strong net retention as the market consolidates on Falcon and its cybersecurity platform of choice in the agentic AI era. That came from George Kurtz, co-founder, president, and CEO. Quote, the scale of Falcon Flex demands the pace of innovation across AI, next-gen SIEM, cloud, identity, and exposure management advances us towards 10 billion in ending APR. CrowdStrike board approved a share repurchase of up to $1 billion. The outlook here, CrowdStrike expects second quarter revenue to be between 1.14 billion and 1.152 billion. That was versus the estimate of 1.23 billion, so a complete guide down there. The company anticipates second quarter adjusted earnings of 82 cents to 84 cents per share versus the prior estimate of 92 cents. CrowdStrike also raised its full year guidance. The company now expects full year revenue of 4.74 to 4.81 billion versus the estimate of 4.77. So that's pretty much right in the range there. Company also raised its full year adjusted earnings guidance from a range of 3.33 to 3.45 per share to a new range of 3.44 to 3.56 per share. It literally did it again versus the 3.43 per share estimate. So there you go with CrowdStrike. I'm definitely interested if anyone is trading this one. I'm still huge on cybersecurity. I still think PanW, CrowdStrike, two of the best out there. Would love to hear if anyone is trading this. And it looks like thank you .com for giving us the news there. It looks like the ADP employment change for May, 37,000 versus the 115 estimate. That's some of that uncertainty that we've been talking about. Okay, S&P futures continuing to tick down here, actually gone green to red now, down 1/10 here. S&P down 0.10. Okay, let me go back to let me get the chart up here so I can get ready to go. And let's go ahead and talk to our good old friend, Tim. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. How you doing, my man?
We are just rolling along down here in North Carolina, getting a great start on the day so far. Glad to see we've got all the usual flow of just weird and abnormal news flowing across our tape to keep uncertainty going up. I don't know if you just saw the ADP job break came across.
Yeah.
It was.
I was a little late on it, but yeah, 37 versus the 115, and it sounds like Trump's already posting about that. Thank you, David. Two-way Powell must lower the rate now,
and he's wrong. I think they're getting closer. I mean, as we talked about last night, there is currently, for the first time, you're seeing some of the Fed talking heads say, "Hey, wait a minute. If we could just get a little clearer picture on this trend, then we need to lower rates." He cannot. He being Jerome Powell. It would be an epic mistake to lower rates before we have trade clarity. And look, Powell owns a history book, and he is aware how Arthur Burns, who's actually a decent economist, looks in the eyes of history, because Nixon whispered in his ear to lower rates too soon in 1972. We all know what happened after that. And Powell doesn't want his name next to Arthur Burns in the history books, and I don't blame him. Now, they will get some cuts in here once we have trade clarity. But until we get that, because if you think this print is bad, I think the print Friday is going to be worse. I mean, if we hit the 64,000, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Businesses aren't hiring. Why aren't they hiring? Because they don't know what's really going on in the economy with all of the trade concerns. When you don't know what's going to happen to your cost structure, you don't hire. You sit back and you do this.
Tim, do you think that's one of the reasons why the administration asked for the best deals by today and then also setting the July 8th deadline for all of this? Do you think that that's part of the whole thing, maybe to kind of get some of that clarity? Because you're right on that. Jeremy Siegel was saying the same thing yesterday.
No, it's this. If it was their fault, then this is Peter Navarro smoking crack too early in the day again.
Didn't have that on my bingo card either.
That was a good one. Huh? It's because it's not going to get clarity. What it's going to get is some very angry discussions. The talks with Europe are not going well. The talks with China are not going well. And look this one up in your fucking Wagnalls. They're two of our most important trading partners. So, and everybody's mad about the aluminum and steel tariffs. So clarity is a little ways out here. So we'll see how this all plays out. But to my dismay, Donald Trump has just jumped right up onto the list of politicians I hate, which now makes it unanimous. So
I was going to say, is there any politician that is not on that list? I suspect that's a pretty unanimous list.
No, it is. And we talked about this a little bit last night. If we can just get to the other side of all this, right? We do need a really healthy market correction. 28 times earnings is like stupid levels, but we do need a market correction at some point in time just to flush out the weekends. There's nobody alive on Wall Street trading desks that's ever seen inflation before. This is the first time most traders are dealing with all of this. So we need some weekend shakeout. But if you look on the other side of the madness, if we can focus here, our policies on growth, on new technologies, on spending capital where we need to spend capital and supporting the efforts of business. You've got AI coming, which is going to be one of the biggest productivity increases in history. And forget nuclear fission. Cool story, bro. Not going to work. We're just not going to get there in time to make a difference. The money needs to be spent on nuclear fusion, because if we can get that to commercial production in 10 to 15 years, that's a game changer. So you've got three massive game changers on the table right now: artificial intelligence, nuclear fusion, quantum computing.
You didn't even mention robotics, which is also there, just maybe a little bit further down the list.
Robotics is going to, because whoever has AI and quantum computing controls robotics instantly.
That's right.
Okay. So there's three big chips on the table. Whoever gets two of the three they're the winner, right? They're going to dominate trade in the globe for, decades to come. So I hope we focus on those, because that is the cure to the budget problem, right? A 30% productivity hike, super low cost energy, that fixes most of our budgetary problems forever and ever. Amen. Now, still waiting. Got two phones. One's for the Orioles front office to call and ask me what they ought to do to improve the team. The other one is for the Trump administration to call and ask my opinion on tariffs. Now, these are two very dusty telephones, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
was going to say, those probably aren't ringing, are they?
And you know what, Cinderella? I can't imagine. Kamala Harris, God bless her, she would have been worse. I do not disagree with you. That doesn't mean I think this guy's doing a great job. So,
I was going to say, I would circle back to your first answer there. He said it was unanimous. Every politician is on that list of people Tim doesn't like.
No, I mean, you could take this all the way down to the HOA level.
Oh,
okay. If you right,
Tim,
I understand.
Don't even get me started on HOA. You actually saw me deal with HOA yesterday. Don't even get me started on that. I'm having a good morning. I don't need to make it poor.
There is some sort of unique arrogance in an individual that is going to believe that they should be elected by their peer group to tell them what to do. So I'm not a big fan. I'm right in there with George Washington and John Adams. There should not be professional politicians. But again, we can't ask George and John. They're dead and they won't call me. So let's move on to making some money in stocks so that we have enough cash to not deal with this garbage.
There we go. I like it. Have enough cash not to care. Let's go.
All right. So first up, and this is a building block that I'm going to give you today. Okay. This is, if you think of a pyramid, this is the bottom block of a really good trading system. In and of itself, it has about a 70% win rate over the last 25 years. However, it throws off a lot of trades. It's a mean reversion system. It'll throw off a lot of trades, and the drawdowns are, they're kind of puke inspiring at times. So the returns are outstanding. It's a 70% win rate, but you got to have a cast iron stomach. So if you could take this and begin to lower some fundamentals or other technicals on top of it, then you can use this to really start to do something. And it's so simple that when I ran across it, it was pointed out to me, and I said, that can't possibly be correct. And it's just the 5-day RSI under 20. That's all you want to do is calculate a 5-day relative strength index. Even the crappiest software on the market for technical analysis will give you a 5-day RSI. Okay. So you calculate the 5-day RSI, and that's going to be your list of candidates. Now, if you just buy all of the stocks that trade there on a day and sell them when they go back over the 5-day RSI, that system actually makes money and has an absurd, 70% win rate, which is very cool. About a 15% compounded rate of return for like the last 26 years, I think is what we tested. So it's a building block and a building block only. But if you take it from there, you've got a starting universe with a high probability of going up. The other trick to this one, Ryan, is that you must be a master of the stop loss. You're going to want a really tight stop loss on this, because as we all know, stocks that are going down and they get deeply oversold, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to bounce or they're going to keep going lower. You only want to have the ones that bounce. So you've got to have a really tight stop on this, so that if it's going to keep going lower, it blows you out.
So basically, don't be afraid of cutting things that aren't working.
Well, look, let me give you the big secret of trader, and this is actually from one of the most successful traders in the history of Wall Street. I'll respect his anonymity because he's asked me to for decades now. But it doesn't matter where you draw the line, right? If it's mean reversion, it doesn't matter really that much if you use Williams percent R or
Mhm.
or RSI. If you're looking to be a momentum / trend trader, it doesn't matter if it's the 20-day moving or exponential moving average or VWAP or whatever it is. Respect the line, right? If a signal is given, you're under the 5-day RSI, you take the trade. All of the money is going to be made here because you control your risk, right? If you respect the line, you buy the oversold stocks and you limit your losses, or you buy the cross of VWAP or the cross of a 20-day moving average. If you respect the concept of protecting against loss, risk control, you're only going to own the ones that keep going up. You're immediately stopped out of the ones that keep going down. Charlie DeFrancesco was a CBOT trader, and he was one of the best ever. He was unfortunately taken from us way too soon.
Mhm.
There's an excellent YouTube video out there of Charlie giving a new talk, Charlie D, to new bond traders on the exchange. And most of the talk is about learning to love small losses. It was the same with Everett Klipp, who was probably the greatest grain trader ever. And one of his students was Mark Spitznagel, who went on to found Universal along with Nassim Taylor, brilliant guy. And it's about loving the small loss if you're going to trade. If you're going to trade, um, you you have to have, this is the loss I'm going to take today, and whether that stop is set as a percentage of total capital or a percent of the underlying instrument, you can't second guess it. You can't play it's going to come back. You can't get, well, it's going to rebound, or let's wait for that news. Hits the loss risk control point, you're gone. If you do that, you'll be a successful trader. So,
Real quick here, just kind of looking at I just basically put a fresh chart down here and it defaulted to Apple. I did nothing else other than add RSI and change the length to 5.
Mhm.
And I'm basically just looking at these oversold valleys here, and pretty much every one, the stock trades up right after it bottoms. So my follow-up question here is, what do we do for exiting with this?
well, it depends again. Let's pick time frame. Okay, if
Okay.
I'm doing this purely technical, short-term trader, then you know what? I'm just going now to the an overbought level on the 5-day RSI.
Okay.
If I'm more of a trend trader, long, thinking intermediate term, then maybe I'm looking at exiting at the 20-day of the 20-day RSI. I'm looking for another oversold indicator to make my exit. That's in a different time frame. So as I said, this is a building block. And in a very short-term trade, you're probably going to want to look at getting out at the 20-day moving average RSI cross-backed over. So it goes up and it comes back down.
Mm-hmm.
You will, and if you look at this, on Apple, you'll catch some rides on this.
Yeah. And I mean, Apple is probably not even the best example of this, but even still, it works on this one.
Yeah, and if you look at this last trade here that was triggered in early April around Liberation Day, right? You catch a nice trade before you have to get out of the stock. Back in early May, you get a month long, total what is that, Ryan? Like 172 up to 200. I'll take that as a 1 month trade every day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at this here. I actually remember looking at this when it was happening live. So I'm just assuming that there's no chance I'm going to hit the bottom. So I'm going to say 174 is a more realistic entry price there. And then if you're using the 20-day moving average, this is as clear as day. It's 209. So you tell me if 174 to 209 in a month's time is good. That sounds great.
Right, and if you use the super overbought level on RSI, you did a few points better. So this is a really strong building block, and you can play around with this. You can add higher beta and see how that tests out. You can try it use fundamentals, and I will tell you that F scores actually do pretty good. That's just kind of it's something for you guys to start with and chew on today.
And I want to emphasize something that you just said there. These are building blocks. You also just kind of closed with start there. So there might be other things that you want to refine this strategy or add to this. I think this is a really good starting point. This is simple, nice little building block, as you said.
Yeah, and so anyway, what am I looking? Oh, here we go. There we go. If you want to look at the larger cap stocks today that are triggering a signal, it's Uber.
Oh, that's a show favorite, Tim.
Yeah, there you go. It's Regeneron, it's Copart, it's Kenvue, and
Look at this.
Texas Pacific Land. That's your top 5.
Okay, wait a sec. Let me actually take note of those tickers there. That happened way too fast for me. We've got Uber, Regeneron. What were the other ones?
Regeneron,
Copart, CPRT. What's the next one?
One moment, please.
This is not fast enough for me.
Copart, Kenvue, KVUE, and Texas Pacific Land.
What's the ticker on that one?
TPL.
TPL. Okay, so right there, KVUE was the one prior to that, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those tickers here in the chat. Awesome. Right there, Tim. You didn't wasted no time here today. So some pretty good setups using just this right here, right there in the chat.
Okay, now this next one, this is going to be a 5 ticker event. It's kind of Tim Melvin's version of Dogs of the Dow. Right, if you remember, if you remember that one, that was you bought the 5 highest yielding stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You rebalanced every year, and actually you beat the market, and it went way out of favor. Everybody forgot about it, so naturally it's worked the last couple of years. But as you play around with this, simple 1 decision, 1 year stock decisions, right? So you want to just build a portfolio of a handful of stocks so you don't have to be watching the whole world, that can deliver market beating performance and it is easily implemented. So this is so ridiculously simple. We're going to limit our universe to the S&P 500. That's it. That's the only universe we're looking at. We are going to throw out all the unprofitable companies. Right, because unprofitable companies and bad credit, why deal with them if we don't have to? Guess what? We don't have to. So only profitable companies. Now we are going to pick the lower priced companies, the 5 lowest priced profitable companies in the S&P 500. We are going to hold them for a 1 year, and then we are going to be done with them. And this beats the market rather handily. Over the last 10 years, when you would think that just running with the index fund would be the thing to do, you've done pretty well, about 12.5% from today going back a decade. If you just use this simple system, it's 15.5%. It's ridiculously easy to implement. You buy the stocks, you hold them for a year, and then you come back next year and you do it again. You do not outperform each and every single year. There's only a few instances where you badly underperform, but just sticking with this system, you actually do a lot better than the S&P 500 over time. Now, I know y'all are waiting. Come on, Tim. Give us the stocks. Stop with the damn story. We don't really care that much, right? We want to know what the 5 stocks are. So I got the 5 stocks, right? And this is, by the way, today is a ticker fest. I should have warned you. I hope you have your.
I'm taking notes, and I've got 5 in the chat already, so we're good.
Okay, so here we go. Ready? Amcor, AMCR. This is a Swiss-based packaging company. They do business all over the world. The company is profitable. Actually, going to see a nice bump in earnings if the analysts aren't complete morons. And, usually they're not right, but they're not complete morons either. So we should get a pretty good bump in earnings over this year. Next 5 years looks pretty good. And of course, anything that grows earnings globally a little bit, i.e., getting all this tariff madness behind us sometime over the next 6 to 12 months, then this is going to be great. Now, the cool thing here, they pay a 5.59% dividend. So lots to love here. Great earnings growth, nice dividend. It's a non-U.S. stock. And if you've been playing along at home, you know that I'm quite bullish on European stocks. And Switzerland, I just absolutely love Swiss stocks when you can get them at the right price, because Switzerland just sits there in its little corner and says, "Oh, hi, Globe. Yeah, no, we don't care about you." And they do whatever they want to do to keep their industries profitable. They're relentlessly and ruthlessly capitalist, but they support business and commerce, and they just sort of ignore the rest of the world. And it's like, okay, here's our rules. You can play by them, or just don't come here. And I like that a lot.
Let me ask you a really quick follow-up question here from Brandy. Brandy was saying, Ryan, on your Apple chart, that was the one I had set with the RSI set to 5. It was a day chart with the RSI set to 5. Would this same setup work for day trading on a 5 or a 15-minute chart? I know that you're more of a long-term guy here, Tim, so this probably made your skin crawl a little bit, maybe a little throw up in your mouth. But the whole thing here, I'm just wondering if we can kind of adapt the what we're talking about here for maybe some shorter term time frames. Is that possible? Do you have data on that?
I do not have the data. I would suspect so, but
okay.
To quote that same old famous trader, if it can't be tested, it must be tested. So
okay,
if you've got the idea and you've got the data, start crunching.
Okay,
let's see if it works. I suspect it will.
So Brandy, so then this is a great question. We don't know the answer, so maybe then let's watch that and let's see if we can find any patterns that were as clear as they were on the day chart, and then maybe we can also not only adapt but also kind of tinker with some of these. Maybe there's a setting or perhaps another indicator that we can add that gives us a more clear signal. Good stuff there, though. I like the thought process. I like where you're going there. Okay, Tim, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you there.
That's okay. AMCR is our first one.
Yep.
The next one is Ford. Ford is F. Ford is the best of the U.S. auto manufacturers, which unfortunately in recent years has been like being the best team in the American League Central Division. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it doesn't mean all that much. But Ford is they're building great cars. They build fantastic trucks. They build the best trucks in the world, as far as I'm concerned. They're way ahead on EVs of their U.S. competitors. And I always love Ford because during the great financial crisis, Ford did not do a strategic default on their bonds, and GM did. So I'm kind of a Ford fan. It's also a great stock to do combination option trades are when the world is blowing up. But it also makes this particular screen, and it's profitable. They're going to be profitable this year. They should grow at an okay rate over the next several years. Nothing fantastic. It is a multi-billion-dollar company, but you're getting a dividend of over 6% with this stock while you're waiting over the next year. So, and we do not intentionally screen for dividends, but the screen does tend to produce dividend payers. Because they are large cap stocks in the S&P 500, and profitable companies in the S&P 500 tend to pay dividends. Next up is AES. And it's power generation. And again, it's profitable. They should have a nice year this year. It's trading at about 5.6 times earnings. It's got some long-lived electrical generation assets, yielding again about a 6.8% dividend. They've got a U.S. business. They're active in South America. They're in the Caribbean. They're in Mexico. So they're kind of doing business all over the world. They've got some operations in Europe and Asia. Company's been around since 1981. It's gone in and out of the headlines for various energy-related controversies over the years. But it is a great company that is going to benefit dramatically from increased energy demand over the next couple of decades. So the stock is sitting here trading at a ridiculous valuation multiple, paying a very generous dividend, and you're just looking to buy this here and hold it for a year. If it's still one of the lowest priced profitable companies next year, you keep it. If it's not, you sell it and you move on. So that's AES. Then there's IVZ. This is Invesco. It's investment management. Let's just pull this one up. And again, nice dividend, 5.79%. Okay, earnings this year, single-digit growth going forward. Not, the world's most exciting company. They do mutual funds, unit trusts, exchange-traded funds, closed-end funds. Been around since 1935, down in Atlanta. So I guess these guys are all Braves fans, but we won't hold it against them. So they,
we got a couple. I think we got a couple of Braves fans in here, so be careful.
Yeah, well, as we talked about, I can't get the Orioles on local TV down here. In spite of that, they're blacked out because you could shoot a ballistic missile from here to Baltimore. So apparently that means we're blacked out. No bitterness there. So I have been watching a lot of the Braves games because they're kind of the local team here, and they're actually a very good baseball team this year. And then finally is Host Hotels and Resorts, which is HST. Hotels are ridiculously out of favor. This has really high levels of insider ownership, one of the highest in the entire REIT industry. When you have to go all the way into the proxy to find the insider ownership on this one. But again, 5.5% dividend. Profits will not be going up, but they will not be losing money. It's going to be very flatline over the next several years. The big story here is this is probably at between a 30 and 40% discount to what the buildings could be sold for in a more rational market. It's mostly luxury and upper scale hotels. They've been around a while. They've been around since 1927, so they've been through some problems, more than one crisis. So just, a hotel REIT with a high survivability factor, a really decent dividend. And again, when all the madness is over and we start to get to the other side, luxury travel picks back up again. Good things begin to happen for Host Hotels and Resorts. And again, this is totally quantitative. Although I just told you the story of what they all do, we don't really care, right? It's low priced, it's profitable, it's in the S&P 500. We're going to buy it. We're going to hold it for a year because history and math tell us that is a successful investment strategy.
Okay.
Okay, now the next one is the most exciting one. So get your pens and pencils out from here because we're gonna go through some stuff here. A study just came out, and let me just pull this bad guy up here so I can tell you who wrote it. It's one of the professors was from Auburn, one is from Florida State, and the other one is from the University of Tulsa, which, believe it or not, actually is a very robust business department. So these three got together and they looked at REITs and they looked at factor-based REIT investing. Now, factors are things, they're PE ratios, they're EV to EBIT, they're mathematical quantitative formulas that help you identify factors that are relevant to stock performance, like price to book value has been very indicative of high performance. So has momentum. REITs are not necessarily responsive to the same factors that stocks are for a whole bunch of reasons. So what I've done, we don't have time to walk through today, Ryan, all of the different ways the factors are different. So if you're truly interested, I sent Ryan the study, email him. He will send you the link to the study.
He did. Wait, do you want me to just throw this in the chat now?
Sure. Why not? I mean, this is a great study. It's, you hate to use the words groundbreaking, but it's a little bit groundbreaking. So here's
the deal, Tim. I got several appointments today, and if I've got a bunch of people emailing me, I might not get back to them. So I'm just going to drop it in the chat.
No, just drop it in the chat. That works just fine. And if you're interested, go ahead and read it. It's not as dense as some other studies I've read, so you could figure out how to reverse engineer this. I won't tell you that it's easy, but I will tell you that it can be done. So, but here's the 6 factors. I'm going to give you 6 factors and a couple of stocks. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So going in, they found that size actually is very predictive of higher returns among REITs. Smaller REITs over time actually tend to outperform the broader market by just a little bit. This was the weakest of the 6 factors. Okay.
So the size of the REIT is predictive of its future results?
Yes. Smaller. Well, it's just like small cap stocks. Small cap REITs And there's a couple reasons for this. They've got a runway for growth through acquisitions, and M&A does play a role anytime you're talking about small caps. It is notably less pronounced in REITs than it is in general equities, but it does give you a small edge. So here's your smaller REITs that would qualify using their formula.
And really quickly before you get into this, Quantum asking a pretty decent question. Is this even with higher rates? So this is an okay strategy even when rates are high. Okay, sweet. Good question, Quantum.
Absolutely. And by the way, REITs in periods of rising rates have done shockingly well. It's a great study on the NAREIT site. And I'll get that for next week, right? I'll have that study. We can go through it.
Okay.
So small REITs. Here we go. Alexander and Baldwin. This used to be a shipping company primarily.
What was the ticker? Sorry.
Alexander and Baldwin. ALEX.
ALEX. Got it. Okay.
Right. They're 19th century sugar plantation company. They've successfully transformed now into a REIT. It's real estate land operations with a material and constructions business, almost entirely based in Hawaii. Hawaii, of course, being probably the most land constrained state in the U.S. So Alexander and Baldwin, really good small cap REIT to take a look at. Plymouth Industrial. If I would date Plymouth if we were both high school students. Plymouth Industrial is one of my absolute favorite REITs. They do single and multi-tenant industrial properties, but they do a lot of single family industrial properties, which tend to be corporate headquarters and main shipping points located in industrial parks. They're in markets across the United States. They've been really smart about their M&A and growth strategies. So PLYM.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the most controversial.
Really quickly, you wanted to date industrial REITs in high school, and I was busy trying to go after volleyball players.
Well, I mean,
now I see what I did wrong.
No, if Plymouth Industrial was a high school, the high school, she'd have been the cutest high school girl that everybody wanted to date. It's a great REIT, was my point.
Okay. Got it.
All right, so look, not all the puns and jokes are going to hit, guys. I mean,
no, we're gonna keep you on your toes. That's what we do around here.
Okay, all right. I'm going to start being like Switzerland. I don't care if you like the jokes. We'll just move on.
That is actually a pretty good tie back, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and now, the most controversial one in Postal Realty Trust. They own over 1,000 properties that are post offices. They're leased to the United States Postal Service all over the United States. There's dire predictions on the future of the post office, but there's been dire predictions on the future of the post office. I don't know, since I was in knickers, basically. The company's portfolio is all post office buildings, mail processing facilities, garages. They're under super long-term leases. You don't see the post office close too many locations. When they do, their buildings are usually easily saleable in the market. So, there are accelerators in the lease. So it's kind of interesting, but the governments and government agencies are in a state of flux right now. And I do think that, as we go on, the internet has already disrupted the postal business, as has FedEx and UPS. I'm kind of interested to see what API does to the postal business. I mean, AI does. So, but anyway, PSTL, in the meantime, it's a pretty cool REIT. Whitestone REIT is another REIT I've really liked for a long time. They do community center retail properties in neighborhoods and major metropolitan markets. They're looking for high income, dense, high population density, and you're looking for internet-proof businesses, grocery stores, restaurants, cafes, doctors, gyms, things you can't do on the internet, and really kind of community center and integrated shopping centers. It's a really good, well-managed REIT. Then Investors Real Estate Trust. This is apartment communities. I could do an hour on why apartments are a great buy. Let's just say as long as mortgage rates are up and there's a housing affordability crisis.
Sorry, what was the ticker on that one? I couldn't get that one.
WSR, or the Investors Real Estate is
Investors Real Estate.
IRET.
IRET. God, that's a REIT anagram right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
IRET. Okay.
I just want to make sure we've got that one correct. Okay.
This Title Trust to IRET.
No, that's the EAT index, guys. It's IRT. Sorry about that. My handwriting got me that time. So IRT
Got it.
is the rate we're
IRT.
talking about. Multifamily is going to be strong as long as there's a housing affordability problem. And, long story short, you've got a whole bunch of people in the nicer apartments that should have moved out and bought a house by now. Instead, they're still in the apartments, which means we've got demand backing up, and nobody's been financing apartments for the last 2 years. So deliveries now are going to slow dramatically in the second half. And everything that was delivered last year and this year that was supposed to be empty, it filled right up, because you've got this log jam of renters in the upper end buildings, the Class A buildings. So then the value factor in REITs is actually pretty high, especially when you take out negative momentum and you add in quality. One of the higher performing ones is value. Now they calculate value differently, just like you have to use funds from operations instead of PE ratio. You need to read the study to make sure that you're actually adjusting the value factor, but it's one of the top performing factors. And quickly here, Macerich, premier shopping centers in the United States. These guys went through a bankruptcy, got rid of all their garbage centers, and they had a lot of them that were pretty much plowed under.
That's
Um,
MAC.
yeah, MAC. Now
This
they're
was
in like,
$100 stock at one point, wasn't it? Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
yeah. Now, and there's been a lot of reverse splits and stuff here, so that
Okay.
kinks it out a little bit. But they were in like really today. They're in densely populated, wealthy markets in California, Arizona, and primarily the Western states. They've been really aggressive about repositioning their property portfolio because the standalone Class B or Class C mall is truly dead. Okay. I mean, even malls that you thought would never go empty are empty. It's the malls that have the movie theaters, the bowling alleys. The one here in town has a bowling alley and a movie theater, and it's doing okay. But it's got the Apple stores, it's got the upper end stores. Those malls are good, and
Yep.
Macerich is slowly but going that way. And CBL and Associates is same thing. It's regional malls, open air centers, mixed use properties in southeastern or midwestern United States. They are also, they reorganized, they're reducing the debt, they're doing strategic property dispositions, but it's cheap on the numbers. So Seritage Growth Properties is they're trying to unlock the real estate value of former Sears and Kmart locations. And again, it's kind of a story in progress. Um, if you've not seen a theme here, there's a ton of retail property, retail REITs in here. And then Tanger Factory Outlets. I love this one because it's so ridiculously misunderstood. These are factory outlet malls.
What's the ticker?
SKT.
Okay, that was it. Okay.
Okay, now in good times, people like a bargain. In bad times, people need a bargain. That's a direct quote from the founder of Tanger. Um, These are the outlet malls, the premier outlet malls that people take buses to. I used to live near Tanger Center, and people literally took bus trips from surrounding areas to come here and spend the day shopping at these malls. If you notice them, they're usually right around freeway exits. When you drive down the road, you look over, the parking lots are always full. And they were full at the work, the minute you could open back up in COVID, boom, they were full.
Yep.
In 2008, 2009, they did not have occupancy problems. These are great properties to own. So Tanger is the other one that is definitely looking a little undervalued there. And the momentum factor is one of the very strongest factors in REITs. Trends in motion tend to stay in motion. Post 1990, momentum's really been the dominant factor, been really resilient during market downturns and higher interest rate periods, to go to the easier comment. And here, I mean, these are pretty easy to pick out. Digital Realty, which is data centers, co-location centers. Prologis, which is warehouses and logistic properties all over the world, and they're starting to get into data centers. American Tower, this is owners and operators of cell towers all over the world, U.S., Asia, Latin America. Great business, going to continue to be a great business. Public Storage, and then believe it or not, Avalon Bay Communities, which is luxury apartments in high barrier to entries. These are the downtown office towers for the most part. The really high quality high class A properties around the country. Then quality, another pretty easy one. This is just the very best REITs.
Ticker?
Uh, I'm sorry, Avalon Bay's AVB.
AVB.
Right. So quality is another very consistent factor. And here you're just looking for the best REITs with steady, consistent ROE, dividend growth, all of those fun things. So the grandpa of quality REITs is Realty Income. They've now made 641, the symbol's zero, O. They pay monthly dividends. They've made 641 consecutive monthly dividends and have increased the dividend for 29 years in a row. They are a net lease REIT, which means that the tenant pays taxes, insurance, and maintenance. So they just collect the rent on the property. It's a pretty cool business, obviously high margins. They've got over 11,000 commercial properties, primarily in the United States, but there's some in the UK and Spain. It's 1,200 commercial tenants, and the tenants are exactly who you think they are, right? Starbucks, Walgreens, CVS, Whole Foods, Publix, HEB, 7-Eleven, restaurants, standalone buildings all over the United States. If you pull up to a stoplight and you look to your right, you look to your left, you look across the street, there's a good chance that Realty Income or one of their competitors owns the building.
Okay.
And then Crown Castle is also another cell tower REIT with 80,000 miles of fiber supporting fiber broadband all across the country, as well as small cells. So again, communications infrastructure, AI, 5G, a bunch of things play a role in this. CCI, extremely high quality. Then Equity Residential, this is Sam Zell's old property. Crown Castle CCI, by the way. EQR is the largest publicly traded apartment REIT in the United States. Again, if you're driving through a downtown and you see tower apartment buildings, you see really nice apartments within striking distance of the highway. If Equity Residential doesn't own them, Avalon Bay probably does, particularly in the Northeast and the Chicago area, being as that's where Zell is from. So just, they're in the markets, high barriers to entry, like downtown Chicago. Really hard to build a new multi-story apartment building there. They look for strong employment growth, high-paying industries, favorable supply to demand dynamics. Reading their corporate company presentation, by the way, it's probably worth a college credit towards your MBA in multifamily real estate. It's really good. And then Simon Property Group is one of the largest retail property owners in the world. They have premier shopping centers. They have outlets. They have the lifestyle kind of centers, which are the outdoor shopping centers that have the gyms and the movie theaters. And you know exactly the ones I'm talking about, all across the United States. They have the very best tenants in the very best properties. They're the high end of the Class A mall market. They've never missed a beat. They've continued to pay and raise the dividend. They have pricing power, which something most retail REITs don't have. They're able to raise their rates. Tenants are standing in line to get into their properties. So SPG is a very, very good high quality selection. Then I want to move along here because I don't want to take all your time.
Well, yeah. How much more do you have? Because this is a ton already, and I got questions I got to ask you, and we're already kind of over.
Right. We'll save the last two factors for next week. We're over. Fire away on the questions.
All right, let's do that. Here's the complete list. You guys are asking for complete lists. Between me and the producer, we should have them all in there. I'm going to start with this one. CCI just cut the dividend. Is this a concerning indicator?
No, not yet. If it continues, it would be. REITs cutting dividends in here in response to higher interest rates, not entirely shocking.
Okay. Next one here. Jay Rice. Good morning, Jay. Those tower names scare me. I think down the road, satellites are going to replace them, like ASTS. This is more of a comment than a question. I was just wondering if you have anything on that.
Jay, you're probably right, but it's a long road. And also, the other thing is we can't, for a whole bunch of national security and homeland defense, we actually cannot go to a totally satellite-based system because you could take out our satellites a lot quicker than you can take out all our towers.
Another comment here that I agree with. People want entertainment options at malls, not more boring clothing stores. Exactly, Quantum. That's part of my big problem. I'm with you on that.
That's why you want Simon.
That's right. There you go. Caddyshack. Any GMRE update? This is that global medical
Yeah.
REIT. Full disclosure, I still own this. I've added to this as it's come back in. This pays a great dividend.
I can't find anything in the statements, the comments, by the financial statements, where I mean the comments and commentary, to fully explain the price decline. They're not growing. They're not making a whole bunch of acquisitions. They're not expanding. That's intentional. I think it's smart. I think the dividend is still okay for now. It's a price location, and I think it's a buying opportunity.
Okay. And then Tracy here, an odd question, but one we should definitely ask. Can you tell me anything about Morehead City? I have a job offer there, and I'm from South Dakota. I'm not sure about moving that far unless it's awesome.
Morehead City, only by reputation, is supposed to be awesome. I mean, never spent a lot of time there, so I don't know it. I can tell you that we like the state of North Carolina a whole bunch so far. It's been awesome. But keep in mind, we did just move here.
Okay. Keep updating. Thank you, Tim. Really good stuff here today. Tons of tickers. I'm sorry to cut you.
No, I didn't realize we'd run over. We'll come over. We'll do the last two factors along with some more REIT stuff next week, because I think it's a good topic for this market.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Okay, Tim, that is awesome. Thank you very much. Say thanks to Tim. We'll see you next time, Tim.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
That is Tim Melvin. Tons of stuff. Look, when you guys tell me about bringing on guests, I bring on guests that are going to give us some good things. Tim is no stranger to that, does it all the time. Tim, really appreciate your time. Tim's departure leaves room for 13. 13, good morning. Happy hump day. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I might sound a little bit different, so I do apologize for that. I tried to tweak my microphone settings a little bit to see if I could make it sound better. So don't know how it sounds, but hopefully it's for the better.
You do sound great.
All right. Excellent. So you want to just go with some of these movers and get these out of the way, because I have about 4 of them I could talk about. One that's actually about to move right now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Thank you, day trader, for the kind words. We keep trying to be 2% better every day. And that's probably why we find ourselves in this situation. Anne Marie, Tracy, I know you didn't ask Anne Marie. Anne Marie says Morehead City is a lovely, lazy town. I will say this. I am not a city guy. I appreciate lazy towns, especially if they're rural or in the suburb. This sounds awesome. Okay, 13, let's go ahead and hit that movers list.
So first one I have up here is KWM. There we are.
K-Wave Media.
Yeah, so this is I believe this was I don't know if it was a SPAC, but it looks like it was, because the company that it merged with,
it was
the ticker was GLST. Okay, yeah, they merged with K-Wave. That was back on the 13th of May. The reason it's moving today is because it entered into a $500 million purchase agreement, purchase facility to pick up Bitcoin for their treasury strategy. So like many other companies we've seen recently, here we are with another one that's this one actually out of South Korea. So I believe this is the first South Korean Bitcoin focused treasury company that's listed on the NASDAQ. Being that this is pretty new, it hasn't even been out on the exchange for a month yet. It looks like it has 62.7 million shares in the float. Beyond that, I don't have a read on their well, I don't think they have any income. I don't have a read on their financials really, but we do know that they are going to be raising capital in order to fund that Bitcoin-focused treasury strategy. And we look at the chart here. We are holding above the VWAP right now, but you probably could end up drawing a trend line here if this candle fails to resolve any higher. And if it does go lower, it's going to be falling beneath VWAP, and that would make me want to just kind of wait for the open to see what it does, because I don't want to start picking anything up in the pre-market when it trades under VWAP and it's continuing to leak into the open. So I'll just wait and see what this does if we end up losing VWAP.
Okay, yeah, really quickly, 13 here, just as kind of an aside. I know there's not necessarily a right way. When I look at a chart that looks like this and I want to draw a trend line, I just, out of habit, kind of delete this one line. Like instead of starting it here and doing this, I almost think that you're better off doing it right here, cutting through that trend and getting a little bit of a less steep trend. That's just my thought. Maybe I'm wrong on that. What do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, you're going to get different trend lines if you
Yeah.
go with a different starting point, or if you choose to, maybe ignore some of what can be totally phantom, spikes in price, and this comes right back down. Like one order makes a candle do that. I don't know if that was the case or not. You can draw both like you did there a moment ago, and you could rely on that, see which one ends up giving you the bigger break. But they're both trend lines. They're both coming off of a bullish pattern, so they're likely both going to get taken out if we do end up getting that lift out of the open. So whichever one is going to provide the bigger breakout, that's what remains to be seen. And yes, there was a comment here about the Tom V. KWM, the MACD is pointing downward. Yeah, that's another reason to just maybe cautiously wait and see what happens to the open. It's about to make its crossing, but it hasn't happened yet. So if we do lose that VWAP, I'd expect it would cross to the downside.
Okay. Real good stuff there. And asking, why is there no float numbers? I didn't have one. 13, maybe you have another one. Full disclosure, I actually got this question from a customer yesterday. Benzinga Pro does a morning data pull every single day. The float value comes from Morningstar. Now, if you've ever tried to track float before, you're well aware that this is a very, very difficult data point to pin down. Different sources have different numbers. Some of them are estimated, et cetera, et cetera. So unfortunately, we have no float reading here. Did you have one, 13?
Yeah, it's 62.75 million shares, according to my broker.
Okay, so I got another, I got I don't know if this is a hack, just another website to go to. No, hang on a sec. God bless it. Oh, I can't type. All right. For any of you that are interested, you can, where is the ticker here? You can use this site. It's called Know the Float. So what was that? What was that ticker again? K what? It's on a different screen. KWM. So let's give this a shot together here and see what we got. Here's KWM, no data found for KWM. So even on Know the Float here, we don't have any reading on that. But you can add this to your workflow or whatever websites you use to try and find that. Nonetheless, here, I also didn't read it normally, and I start there. I actually just turned it over to 13, so we went in a little bit different order. I'll correct that here. We do have a raw short interest of about 20,000, 20.8 thousand shares held short there. So not a whole lot. That's what, a tenth of the average volume. Really, not a big deal at all. Not a big deal at all there in terms of the short interest. Okay. You ready to go to the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. Next one here is going to be BAOS. This is Baosheng Media. We've traded this one before. We've seen this one off of the scanner. This is nothing more than a junky small name that likes to move. It is trading higher on no news, as the producer is letting you know here. If we take a look at the short interest, 24.14% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and the float's 1.034. Look at how good our producer is getting that ready for you in some of the on-screen graphics. So BAOS, this is a China name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is so this is like a no news China pump. It's like on trade deal hopes. 1 million shares in the float, 24% of the float short with 1 day to cover, has little cash, no read on the income. Does business with Tencent and hold on a second here. Tencent, Alibaba, ByteDance, performing channel marketing services, technologies, and applications. So they're very much a Chinese company, and it's getting driven up on what seems to be absolutely nothing except the hope that China and the U.S. are going to make a deal soon.
Okay. Day trader here. All levels are thin, and overall, the play is sketchy. That's on KWM. Okay. Good stuff here. BAOS. We already took a look at all of that. We'll see if this gives us a trade here. Again, though, be careful. Just be careful. Next one on the list here is STSS. This is Sharps Technology. I feel like we've traded this one before.
We have.
Sharps Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced it began the shipments of 3 customer purchase orders, a whopping 3. Look out. Sorry.
It's doing its job. Great.
Yeah, we PR'd that we're doing our job. I like that. 13 percent of float short here, 11.34% as of the last read. 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of just over 500,000 shares at 674,000. Today we've traded 17.5 million. Floats 1 million. What do you think?
Yeah, so again, the shipments has that short interest. This is also a recompliance play. They just recently went through a reverse split and also managed to, according to the statement that was released, they did get back above the minimum bid requirement. So this does have cash. It is the last quarter that was reported. It seems to be profitable, even though it doesn't have any revenue. But I expect that'll show up hopefully the next quarter, because the shipments, they're going to have to get paid for those at some point. They sold some products, are going to see revenue. I expect that'll happen when we see their report in August. Other than that, don't have anything else on this. So let's take a look at the chart. We're beneath VWAP, trying to curl back up and recapture it. That's what I would be looking for out of the gate here, which is going to happen in about 10, 11 minutes. If this can start making its way toward VWAP, we'll be looking for a breakout of that. If it continues to leak lower, might find better support around 5, maybe just below it at the 65 EMA. But MACD looks like it's beginning to curl, so let's see if we can what kind of movement we get as we approach the open.
Okay, real good stuff there. Next on the list is going to be TGL, Treasure Global. We should all remember this. We all traded this one here a couple of times. Last big spike looks like May 15th for Treasure Global. Treasure Global shares are trading higher after the company announced the launch of a $100 million digital asset treasury strategy to power its consumer intelligence platform. I'm going to pause right here. Day Trader, you had said just a little bit ago, you need to start making a watch list for all of these Bitcoin treasury stocks. Indeed. I need to do that too. This can do that here in Pro and actually turn that watch list then into an active filter. So yeah, another one. And another one. So we should actually end up doing that as soon as I get off the show here, when I get some free time. I don't know if I'll be able to do it today, but I'll try and put some of those together. Let's help me out with that. If you get a list like that, let me know, and we can build it here in Pro and then share it with the group. But okay, anyway, TGL here, this did pop above 240. It's come back in. It hasn't quite tested it did lose its VWAP. Sorry, hasn't quite found some support there at the 15 EMA. Quick look at the short interest here. 1.02% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and that comes on 2.5 million shares of volume. Today we've traded 11.7. Float here is 2.6. What do you think, 13?
Well, I always wonder whenever I see these companies that are launching these multi-million-dollar treasury strategies, I want to always know where the money's coming from. This one, it doesn't look like they have to raise capital, as the treasury initiative is being backed by 2 sources, it says. Half of that is coming from existing equity finance agreements, and the other half is through a new institutional commitment from a strategic funding partner. So with that in mind, it doesn't look like they need to raise any capital in order to accomplish this treasury strategy. But they are not going to be executing this strategy until it looks like the 3rd quarter of this year. So might make for a good trade today, but I completely expect this to, leak back down to where it began.
Me too.
We're not going to see any kind of, movement with this that would be meaningful until I think next quarter. But we'll see if there's anything that comes out between now and then.
Okay, good stuff there. TGL. Next here, I've got Nice W, NCEW. I apologize. New Century Logistics. Shares are trading higher after the company announced a proposal to acquire 51% of Asiatic Logistics. Okay. Stock popped as high as 220 here. It's come back in, lost the VWAP, and has used it as resistance. 9.35% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover, and that comes on an average volume that's just shy of 1 million shares. Session volume here, 2.29 million. So we've traded almost 30 million. Floats 6.35 million. What are you thinking on this one?
This one I didn't look at. There were some other ones that were moving as well, but so I don't have any behind the scenes data. I don't even think there's I don't have a whole lot of information on their income or their balance sheet, so don't know anything financially going on with them. But we can look at the chart and see what that's telling us. And right now, ever since we have had this impulse move that took us to 220 in the morning, it has not been able to hold and recapture VWAP. So that is going to be something to watch for as we approach the open here. Looks like it's headed down towards the 65 EMA, which that value I have at 152. So we should be getting that print in short order. If we lose this looks like 157, 158 level that has been providing support. Looks like 158. It's been providing support ever since it came off of that impulse move, and every time it gets rejected by VWAP, comes down to that level as well. So if we lose 158, looking at the 65 EMA for the next support. But if we do come off of 158 and start making our way through VWAP, I think we're going to we'll have a trend line that will be broken, and this could end up moving potentially back up to 220.
Okay, I also drew a trend line here on
There we
yesterday's intraday high versus the pre-market high. We'll get some crazy levels if we end up getting up there. Okay, good stuff. I know I'm moving fast here, but we are quickly running out of time. BON, Bond Natural Life. Bond Natural Life shares are trading higher after the company announced a $1 million stock repurchase program. This thing ramped to 260 and came back in. Quick reminder here, 54.15% of the float shorted here. That comes on 1 day to cover. Now, it looks like we had some float adjustments in here. So let me take a look here. We'll give you all of those different float values. Yeah, so if we go to Pro and go to Overview, I've got a float of 3.595 million, okay? If we go to Know the Float, which I was just telling you about, we've got 9.64 from Yahoo, 1.13 from Finviz, 7.48 from Wall Street Journal, and 3.78 from Dilution Tracker. This is all over the board. Our poll here is in line with the Dilution Tracker here, but that's what's going on in terms of the float here for BON. You got anything on this one? Chart? I know we've traded this before. You might have some levels on this. Got another trend line I see jumping out here.
Maybe, but this is a China company.
Yep.
They, all their. It says that they have a geographic presence in the People's Republic of China and in overseas. But this is a bioactive food ingredient, and I don't know if that's something I'd like coming out of that country. To be honest,
me either.
So
also had a recent reverse split, 1 for 25 on May 19th.
That's right. So. This seems to be a little bit of a recompliance. I don't know where that money for the stock purchase program is coming from, but they do have, some $24 million exclusive sales agreement with Shanghai Rice International. So that could be one of the. I don't have a really good read on their financials. Par for the course usually. No read on their income. Very little information on their balance sheet, but I do see that 24 million. Sales cooperation agreement, so maybe the money's coming from there. I do not know. Take this with a grain of salt and be very careful with this one. Looking at the chart, still beneath VWAP, but we are coming back up to it, looking for a move over that. That's at 230. We did get as high as 259 in the pre-market. Draw trend lines. Either the upside. There you go. You could draw that one. You could draw a down trend line to see if we break it to the upside and we recapture VWAP. Do whatever you like. I think there may be some better things to trade out there, but if this does start to get back above its VWAP, maybe it runs. Just be careful with it, though.
Okay, good stuff there. BON. Next is going to be VSIG. This is a junky small company that's gone through a whole bunch of reverse splits. Be careful. VSIG global shares are trading higher. The company provided full year 25 revenue guidance. Let's see if I've got that number. It's 39.23 million. Stock's up 24% here, but as mentioned, its stock did a 1 for 20 reverse April of this year, and last year in November it did a 1 for 49. So this thing just does nothing but dilute and dilute and dilute. So just be careful with this one. A quick look around the horn here on the short interest, 8.67% of the float shorted with 1.43 days to cover. That comes on 629,000 shares of average volume. Your float's 2.84. You got any thoughts on VSIG?
It's just funny when we were getting into this one and we were talking about how junky it is. And I guess that was true for the most part, but it's, the fact that it's still showing up on scanners is kind of funny. So this revenue, I didn't look into this, so I don't know what, how great this is, but it is this is what, a Malaysian company, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just would go to the chart and defer to that because I didn't cover this one. Trading
no problem.
Trading beneath VWAP. Looks like it's trying to get back above the 65 EMA. If it can accomplish that, it may run back up to VWAP around 405, but I'm not going to.
TLDR, this company sucks. Pay attention to the technicals. Let's move on. MCTR is the next one. This had a huge move yesterday, especially late in the day. I had a number of people reach out and thank us for talking about this one early. We kind of set this up earlier in the day. A big time shout out to you. I think you said yesterday that waiting some of these movers in the afternoon might get fired up again. I believe you literally said that to our group yesterday. And then look what this stock did. This thing moved from a 10 handle up to 50 in the after hours. We actually took 50 out here in the pre-market. Come back in a lot. Look, be very, very, very careful with this name. And I mean very careful with this name. Very easily pull back. 4.05 million shares here in the float. Got pretty much no short interest. 1/10 of the float shorted, literally 4,000 shares. It held short here on this name. So just be careful. You got anything on MCTR today? I made a great call on this yesterday. So,
well, I mean, I didn't, have any idea it was going to get up into, this high.
We never do.
But it could continue. And if it does, we're looking at some of these levels that hit in the after hours of pre-market. So we do have some, levels to go off of, but I don't know where this ends up. You could rely on some trend lines that between the after hours and to the pre-market, you could draw one there. That one, would indicate that we're going to likely go into the 60s at some point if it goes up there later in the day. I don't know where this ends up. I think we just got to, watch the technicals, and because I don't think the valuation makes any sense up here. So be very careful with it. If you held it overnight, great. Maybe consider paying yourself. I don't know if that's in your plan or not, but just make sure you protect yourself with a wild stock like this.
Okay. Okay. And we are about to open here, and I just got to really quickly digress here real quick. Chris, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry about your Knicks.
Yep.
The firing Tibbs was the dumbest thing in the world. Tom Thibodeau has the exact same winning percentage as Eric Spoelstra. And being a Bulls fan, I'd take Thibodeau back here in Chicago. So I'm sorry for you and your team. Hope things get better. I think the Knicks are going to suck next year without him personally. But okay, market is open. Let's get to it. Let's try and make some money. Let me actually get my my unusual options thing all set here. Boom. All right, KWM, first mover here. Yep. It looks like we got a bull flag. Looks like it's trying to break out of that using the VWAP as support. Someone asked if we're going to take a look at SBET. Probably not unless something happens. This thing's on the backside of the move. It's retraced an absolute ton. Unless something else happens here, SBET just kind of technicals. Be careful.
Looks like STSS is trying to rise up to VWAP. 790 is the pre-market high of that one.
I'm seeing NVIDIA calls getting bought out of the open here. S&P futures continuing to tick higher here after that green to red move on the ADP number. We're now higher by 0.2. NVIDIA calls going off here. NVIDIA also traded up out of the gate. BAOS from the movers list. This breaking down right from that VWAP.
I mean, NVIDIA kind of is pulling. I don't know what this upside you're talking about is. This is pulling.
Okay, so it just started to.
Okay.
The first move here was up.
Gotcha. Okay, I see that little wick there. Up to 142.40. Okay.
RCAT is climbing. About some TQQQ in the pre-market. Okay, you got any targets for that TQQQ? I'm interested in that.
MCTR moving its way up to VWAP. This thing is very spread. Just be careful with this one. This could be one of those ones where it blasts off or it breaks down in a very massive way. Please don't be caught when it happens.
RCAT here above its pre-market high, as well as the intraday high yesterday. RCAT popping here. Frankly, I'd have sold into that move. I know some of the drone stuff has been hot here. I don't see anything new here on RCAT accounting for this move here today. This just looks like trading action. Pretty decent volume out of the open, though. Better volume candle than yesterday, that's for certain. RCAT. APLD is getting mentioned. That had a huge move recently. Is that holding its move? Indeed it is, and actually going higher, actually looking like it's trying to break out here.
This is the one that's got to deal with CoreWeave, right?
Yeah, and that reminds me. Thank you, 13. Yeah. I'll just take a look. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say if that keeps going, CoreWeave's gonna keep going. If CoreWeave keeps going, that one's gonna keep going. I think they're gonna just complement each other. So if one of them starts falling, the other one likely will.
Okay. I had said earlier, 13, before you got on, one of the very first things I said here today is for like a group project, what I would really like to know is short thesis on CoreWeave. Where's the spot? Where's the target? I understand that this is dangerous. We're all going to be careful here, but just really, I think at some point this thing's really got to come back in. It reminds me a lot of Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat took a long time to crack. There was someone in the chat earlier that said the market can remain irrational longer than we can remain solvent, and that is a tried and true adage. So just trying to poll the group here. When do we think the or where do we think the CoreWeave short is?
I mean, that move yesterday kind of made me think, well, maybe that might be it. But we did go a little bit higher, and we are selling now. But let's just see if that thought I had is even remotely correct. Because as it was just pointed out, this can be, this can keep going. But I also pointed out yesterday in happy hour that this could just be an absolutely Reddit 2.0. We saw how wild and crazy that thing ended up getting. And then when it finally unwound, I came right down to our trend line. So I have no idea where this ends up, but I'd be thinking that we're going to be seeing the topping out soon. And when I want to see some topping out, I want to see some more sideways action, some more, not so much this vertical price action we've been getting. I want to see this thing go sideways and kind of put some upper shadows in place before I think it tops in. Because we looked like we were getting that earlier, and we just, over the past 4 days, this was this move down through the trend line was invalidated.
Okay, good stuff there. Ari Stock Market says, agrees with Kathy, who was on this earlier. The time to short CoreWeave is when the lockup expires, and that's not till September 13. So we had actually talked about that a little bit earlier, too. Okay.
These movers that we've talked about this morning, really, MCTR seems to be the only one that's green.
Yeah. SBET, actually, I poo-pooed that. And then, of course, SBET traded up, looked like it was going to go to 60, couldn't. 69, one of those key levels there. We'll see if we end up getting that. Loop is halted. I don't have that here. Maybe I'm just a little bit behind.
Or out of the
loop. Indeed halted here. 196 to the upside. What's going on with this? Nothing. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. This is...
TQQQ is searching for 74. We got up to 73.97 in the pre-market and heavily backed off. Made for a good SQQQ trade. And then the TQQQ trade was back on when it hit 72.87. And now we're right back up to where we were in the pre-market earlier this morning. So waiting to see if we end up taking out that 74 level or not. If we do, let's see where this goes.
Lunar is popping here. Good mention, Kev. This right at the 1150 resistance area here on Lunar. Let me see if we had any news on that. No.
There's 74 in TQQQ. We might actually run into a resistance right here.
And we're at 598 on the SPY. I tell you what a reversal here on the SPY after that ADP print. New highs now. New highs now. Several of you were asking about HIMS. I know HIMS and Hood were stocks that you folks were wanting to take a look at here. Here's your HIMS chart. Nice little move here out of the gate. The trend line is really what the story is here, I think. I've got the if it's going to go test that here today, I've got 64.50. Jay Rice. Here you go. Red Dog, been accumulating ASTS. Fits my satellite theme versus those REITs that was mentioned earlier. Good shout there, Jay. Hood also, thank you, Day Trader. That was another stock that folks here. So I'm moving too fast here. HIMS expands EU reach with the Zava deal as the U.S. growth slows. That was from Bank of America. Thank you, producer, for keeping me on that.
I completely agree with Jay on the satellite theme. That's something I've been talking about since last year. I think space and satellites, that's going to be the big thing going forward because, I know that Tim was making a point about how you can attack cell phone towers. Newsflash, folks, you actually can. It's called invading infrastructure through all the fiber optics and other ground cables. You can absolutely, and we just had recently news of power modules in our solar panels that are hooked up cellular services that could be remotely disabled. So we can certainly lose control of our towers, especially if we're using Chinese components.
That's not, there's been other talk that I've seen on a lot of podcasts that deal with security and intelligence issues. There's also a thought there. A lot of these cell tower, the physical sites are fairly unguarded. There's a chain link fence that any 16-year-old can get through pretty easily, let alone a criminal that's actually trying to do bad things there. So interesting. I used to not be allowed in the building, but now we're on the rooftops.
Yeah, that's James. That's where we were. Yeah, these power inverters for solar panels. Yeah, that's where we're getting a lot of that information from. And I don't think it's limited to solar panels either. But there's a lot of space plays that I think are going to do pretty well. And every time it seems that we get into a run up into another Starship launch, it always seems that these space stocks end up doing a little bit better. So we're supposed to be getting another launch later on this month. We'll see how these respond. By the way, Redwire having a fantastic day.
Yeah. Sorry, really quick here. Hood went nuts in the pre-market. Indeed, day trader. This actually traded up, pulled here out of the gate, but actually looks like it's trying to come back. Remember where we're at here on Hood. We actually just had this breakout right above 67-ish, and it took a while to get through there, but we did. NFL fan says, literally getting filthy rich, about to buy my third house. Consider maybe some charitable donations there. If you're talking about buying a third house, I think the good juju will help you long term.
Yeah, Redwire. This is one of my more favorite space stocks. This one,
the thing behind the thing, baby. I was waiting for you to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get a little bit extended here, but still think this is going to be one of the better space plays. This one, Iridium, I do like Sirius XM Radio and Rocket Lab. Those are my big four.
Izzy, solar shingles. Those were one of the things that I really liked on solar, more so than the panels themselves. Really quick question here, and he might not know the answer because he just did this. Let me know how easy they are to clean. And also how often you need to clean them. Is it more or less the same as solar panels? Everyone forgets those things aren't just put up and forget. You got to clean them to maintain their efficiency. Let me know how the solar shingle is. That's something that I thought would really, really help solar power proliferation more so than some of these big panel companies. But that's as an aside.
All right, let's see what these movers are up to, because they were not looking great this morning. BAOS, is anybody surprised it went down to 200 EMA? I'm not.
No.
STSS, that looks like that could still go lower. Maybe 520 could be the spot. We'll see. SXTP, that did go lower, but it seems to have recovered its VWAP. Might be okay. You know what? Let's draw a trend line with this one.
Really quickly here, I'll have you guide me on the trend line on this here, trading up again, folks. Remember, especially if you were in the 70 to 80 cent buy area or anywhere under $1, frankly, you're being given multiple opportunities to get gains booked here. Just saying. Okay, 13, what stock and where are we drawing the trend lines?
STXP is one of the
STXP. Got it.
SXTP.
Got it.
We you can probably see the trend lines as soon as you pull it up. There you go.
You don't even need me to guide you.
Nah.
You just pull the right stock up, dude, and you'll find it. Here you go.
And also, I know I'm switching gears here, but we'll watch for STXP if we can get to that trend line or even above it. But MCTR has now been halted to the downside, and that's pretty much back to where it opened at. So
okay.
We see, be careful with these. That's what we're talking about. Treasury Global has done nothing but go down. I feel like there's going to be some support coming at some point soon, maybe around 175. Also,
probably some at zero. Sorry. CLRB, Tuna's mentioning this is a penny stock that's going absolutely buck wild here. Nice little breakout from that pre-market high. VSIG, this is one of the movers that we talked about earlier. Sad trombone, as this probably goes even lower. We talked about that one. PDYN, Paladine AI. Nice little spike here in Paladine.
Nice job, Jane. Glad you didn't get hurt on that one. Also, TQQQ broke over that trend line, high of 74.26 now. Waiting for this to cause the SQQQ to be a little bit more extended. We're only 10 cents away from VWAP in the SQQQ as far as the low goes. So don't think it's time yet, but maybe it turns around.
Repeat sweeps, Redwire, ticker RDW on the 17 call. That is the one that expires June. That's the June contract. We've had multiple sweeps there. Ondas sitting on a huge offer at 160, and it's hammering it. See if Ondas can move through this 160. I've got 178 as the next area higher there. 166 was the intraday high from yesterday, but I don't see a whole lot of resistance there. Mod V, this is another one that was getting mentioned here. Sorry,
I'm so happy about Redwire. You know, I'm glad that these space names are doing well. This makes me happy.
SBAT reversed off the pivot there, so it looks like it tried to go for 60 and pulled pretty substantially.
KWM going lower now, coming down to some of the earlier support or earlier resistance areas from the impulse move up. Looks like 405 might be the next support area. All these names really, these movers are not looking great this morning. SXTP not looking too bad, though. That might actually make it up to the trend line.
SGMT, look at this. This popped yesterday. Shares are trading higher after the company announced phase 3. What is that? Definansat acne therapy. Some acne therapy. Clinical trial met all of its primary and secondary endpoints. This thing has round tripped almost completely. Has bled back about 90% of its gains. CoreWeave, by the way, we are down 10 points from the pre-market high. 10 already on CoreWeave. I still have no short exposure to that. APLD, G Money here mentioning APLD. We have a straight up breakout. This thing has been on fire recently. More highs here on APLD. You know what? I didn't hit this one. This is now officially a miss for me. Congrats on everyone that was on APLD. This is insane. Kathy saying time to add CoreWeave. Kathy, are you adding short, adding long? What are you doing here, CoreWeave? Ticker CRWD.
Bond getting support from the 65 EMA still has the task of recapturing VWAP. It may end up just being a bear flag that forms over this rebound here. But if it can recapture VWAP and get back to like 217, 218, this might be set up for another move higher. I'll do a trend line on this one. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Tesla here getting shellacked down just about 2%. 335 actually looks to be a support area, though, on Tesla. Kathy, thanks for getting back to me here. I'm in CoreWeave at 80. Good on you, Kathy. We'll add on any pullback because I have a lot of room. Okay, just make sure you don't give that up. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that. Really good stuff there, Kathy.
Yeah, as far as Tesla goes, I'm still looking at my range that we've been looking at since last month, 325 to 360. We hit 360. It did print a little bit higher toward the end of May, but certainly just came right back down, and now we're trading beneath the trend line here. This uptrend that Tesla was in since April 21st is getting snapped. We'll see a 325 test, I think, at some point soon. We do have to go below the 20-day SMA first, though, so there's also another level of support. That's actually at what, 335 and change? Yeah.
Kaushik. Let me know how the correct pronunciation of your name is. Thoughts on hood inclusion to the S&P? Now, my thought is anything added to the S&P is likely going to get bought by funds. Yeah. So this is going to be good, especially over the long term. Yep. We just had this huge breakout here. I mean, just a knee-jerk reaction to answer your question, I think this is bullish.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Let me see how high this thing's going to probably go, but okay, so there's that breakover, the 60. I mean, I don't think we even talked about this breakout happening at around 67, because that's where it was hitting. The price was hitting its head for a couple of weeks. Let's see here. Let me just do some measurements so I can kind of figure where this may end up going.
Yeah, no problem. When you're ready, 13, let me know. I'll throw it up on a big chart for you, and I'm gonna step away for a sec there. That'll work out nicely. MCTR here. Is this halted? Yeah. No, this actually just resumed. Sorry, it was halted to the downside. Now it's resumed and gone lower. We're right at pre-market and after hours support here. See, so Jay here, this is kind of what I wanted to get to. So Jay is going to take the other side of that. I think everyone knows about Hood. I trim the move, but Jay, don't you? If you're in the S&P, isn't there going to be forced buying that might not already be purchased? And then so if you do trim and you do get a bit of a move down here, it almost feels like that's an ad. You let me know. Izzy mentioning Uber here. I am so excited because this was actually on Tim Melvin's list for one of his momentum. Oh my God, and it's working. Smash up the like for Tim Melvin giving us stuff that works.
I think when it comes to Hood, there's still a possibility we may go as high as 82.50 before we start to see that selling really kick in. So, I don't want to make a prediction that that's what's going to happen because it is still extended right now. I mean, 76 RSI as of now. I think we could start to come in here, but if there is some more upside left, I'd be, capping it at 82.50, I think.
Jay saying, yes, Ryan, what happened to WSM when they added? Well, I don't know because I don't give two damns about Williams-Sonoma, but I'm guessing based on what you're saying here that this got crunched after they added it. When was that? Also, big time shout here. Also, Chewbacca's blessing for Brian. This is the best day I've had in over a month in this chat. There we go. First successful swing on APLD. I might cry. No reason to cry, but if you do, happy tears are welcome. We're going to have more of that for you here. When was this added, by the way, Jay?
The TQQQ is putting in a series of upper shadows with this at this trend line that I had drawn. There may be a reversal in the SPY and the Qs and a lot of other things coming here. So something I'm watching for.
Andis through that 160 huge spot. Giddy up. Giddy up. What was I just going to do? God, I'm trying to do way too many things at the same time. What was I just going to do?
You should try to be a parent.
No. Oh, it was going to be a news feed.
Hey, well done to your son, Sideshow. That's awesome.
My son just sold his first trade in Arcat at 271 out at 8. Yo, good job.
No student loans for him.
That's right.
Bond just had a move up to this trend line. I don't know if you drew it or not, but it just had a pop over VWAP up to the trend line. This is, be careful with this one. It's still one of those China pumps, but it made a move. So just thought I'd shout it out. MCTR, this is now trading beneath the 65 EMA, trying to recapture it. Volume is not looking great.
First of all, big time shout out to, I got asked in my support session last week, why is the Benzinga newsfeed better than any other newsfeed? And the answer is because of all of the stuff that you can do with it in terms of controlling the data that you see. Jay told me that asked me to look what happened to Williams-Sonoma when they added it. I didn't know when they added it, so was able to find that very quickly by searching for Williams-Sonoma and S&P. That was set to join the S&P 500. We got that PR here March 24th. So let's go back to the chart here real quick, Jay, and take a look at Williams-Sonoma. Here's March 24th, right in here. So Williams-Sonoma it moved lower after that, then moved higher, and right now it's sitting about 11 points beneath that spot when that was PR'd there.
All right, I got that TQQQ right. We are going lower. That series of upper shadows was no lie.
Okay, here you want this on a 5-minute? Can I step away for a sec here?
Sure, go ahead. Okay,
BRB, 1 sec.
All right, Lunar's polling, says Ray, and continuations for REKR for record. Line, you're selling half of your SGMT. Okay, so that we did get a little pop there up to near VWAP, but man, this thing hasn't done a whole lot today. TQQQ did get some selling in there, but it is trying to rebound. But man, I don't know if we're going to get back up to 74 just yet. Yeah, hey, no problem, Mike. That was a really good it was a good trade. I saw that and I was like, maybe there is a good chance your SQQQ It's a good one. I'm glad you made money off that. Nvidia going lower. I absolutely expect it to. All the tech is going lower. All right, folks. Let's put our cautious hat on. It's usually yellow and has black bars on it. Scalped Amazon, as you do.
Okay, back.
We are getting some pull in the market here. Some tech is getting hit.
Having a great day again here. Tesla is what's getting hit.
Yep, Tesla. Nvidia's pulling as well.
Bitcoin is pulling.
Oh, there it is.
Bitcoin at the retesting the morning lows right now on Bitcoin.
The big risk indicator is going lower, huh? Bond, meanwhile, broke the trend line.
Real quick here, I just wanted to do this again. I'm amazed at this Uber thing. I stupidly cleared this out here. Here's Uber. We're going to add the RSI that Tim just talked about and the moving average. And we're going to change this stuff. I'm going to do it as fast as I can here. 20-day move.
Kaushik,
Go ahead.
My personal thought on Roblox is that I really want to like that company, but I don't, for a number of different reasons. There, one of them being the fact that it loses hundreds of millions of dollars every quarter. But I think there may be some good seasonality you can play with, because now that the kids are out of school or about to be out of school for some people, I think you would see an increase in the usage and maybe even revenue as parents are begged for Robux. So I think you could get a seasonality play, but it's not something I would want to own long term.
Okay. Thank you, 13, on that. Really quickly here, as a reminder of what Tim was telling us earlier about the trading signal there, said RSI set to 5, and when it enters extremely oversold, it's a buy. Izzy, you were scalping Uber today. This is actually one of the stocks that was on Tim's list for extreme low RSI. I can get you that list again here. Regeneron was another one on this list. Look, what Tim told us was going to happen is happening. It's happening already. Just really, really good stuff here from Tim. I'm glad to see this working. So I'm going to leave this workspace up and maybe refine this, try to turn this into a live indicator for us here on this show. Really good to see early on, though.
So his name's Tim Oracle now?
Tim Oracle? Well, we can ask him if we're going to call him that. I like Delvin with Melvin, though, that thinking about it throughout earlier. That's one of my favorites.
Yes, Lion, that's right. It would be insane if they had I think revenue, but lately it's all just been capital raise.
And look,
yeah, I think that we do need to see some earnings reports. We don't get that until later. I think it was in August. When did we get this? Yeah, we get their next earnings in August. So we'll see if they've got anything coming in yet. But yeah, there's a lot of speculation here that they are going to just absolutely blow it out of the water. Meta, wow, says Izzy. Let's take a look at Meta.
We can take a look at Meta. Meta ripping higher here. How about App? Is that moving too? Because this might be on that AI video ad. App, not the same. Not as much as Meta here.
Yeah, Meta also getting back to being in the overbought territory. Maybe we see some selling at around 689, 688. I don't know. Wait and see.
By the way, Lion, you were mentioning Lilly earlier as that trade is working. I'm sorry, I really couldn't fit it in. There was really nothing much to talk about. The reality here is that we gave you, and when I say we, I was the one that gave you the thesis here on Lilly, but I took it from Happy Hour member Tom, who's awesome. We talked about this being at a great technical level right down here at that 500. It's about 40 points ago now. And we also had extremely good seasonality from here through the middle of June. We also had positive seasonality on IBB at the same time. So this trade here, based on a technical support level plus positive seasonality, continues to print your first area of gains taking if you went on a short swing trade here, 778, your 50-day moving average. Also worth noting, 832, not that far above and actually within range if we're able to take that out. So this trade is indeed working. Grats to anyone that is in Lily right here. Another trade brought to you by the community that is just straight up working.
Steve, I will get to Oklo in just a second for you. Ryan, real quick, MCTR, this thing is reversed and is halted again. I need you to draw a trend line because out of this halt, we may end up breaking it.
Okay. You're talking about the trend line from today's pre-market, the downward sloping one? Got it.
Yep. And we're halted. We're halted at the door step there. So out of this halt, but I think it could break.
I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna draw another trend line from yesterday's after-hour highs through today's pre-market highs. That's gonna give us an upside level as a secondary target if this does in fact work. Ondis, by the way, back at 160 here, looking to go higher.
Yep, I'm going to draw that trend line too. I do like that. So we have a potential break happening soon on that down-sloping trend line, and the upward one that Ryan has drawn for us gives us a potential area where we could sell for a profit.
Bingo. Absolutely.
And I need to look at Oklo. So this is down today. It looks like it lost a key level of support. I want to say it's about 49.50. This thing is coming off of being pretty extended, so could continue to go lower. Looks like the 20-day SMA is going to be a good area of support. That's at about 41.10, 41.15. There's also an opening level there, an opening of a candle on May 20th. That open was 41.33. So I think you're in that 41 area. It's gonna. Oh wow, TQQQ just tanked. It's gonna probably fill that gap to the downside and get some support around there. That would be my thought. This is the way on this, based on the way this chart looks.
I don't think this was it, but the PMI number 53 versus the 52.1 estimate. I don't think that was it. It's a little bit delayed.
It just happened. So I don't know if it is or not, but the SQQQ absolutely ripping right now.
Lion selling half of Ondis. Well done. That's how we trade around here. Get yourself paid. Good stuff. Izzy laughing and mentioning that Mullen is halted to the upside. Jay, are you long this? I'm sorry. I should stop making the joke, but it's Mullen it's the gift that just keeps on giving when it comes to jokes. It really is. Pony AI, this got asked about earlier. I don't think I had enough time to talk about it, or we had enough time to talk about it. I beg your pardon. Looks like I had a little bit of a wild open there, but nothing else. I don't really see anything else on this. What does our daily look like here on Pony? Yeah, I guess 13. 13 really looks like the level that Pony has to hold. This was a short run China AI name. I think this moves over.
I thought you were talking to me. Sorry.
No.
Visa, we were getting asked about. This looks like this could go higher to me. Like we're approaching a breakout spot.
Oh my God! Look at this chart.
Yeah, we were getting asked about this by.
Let me go to my bigger one. I'm going to do this justice here.
Average Options was asking, is anyone on Visa? That's a perfect channel uptrend to all-time high. This thing just has been nonstop since November 22. This thing is just completely. I can't say too many good things about it. Looks like people are not going to be done buying stuff. This has just been in a massive uptrend. The uptrend right now. We're getting pretty extended away from it, but I have the current uptrend at today. That's down at 292. Here we go with MCTR just unhalted, hasn't broken over the trend line yet. We'll see if we end up getting that, but here we are. We're unhalted. We're looking for that break, and it's testing it.
Oh, it's right there, dude, and rejected. I'm going to throw this up in another window so I can keep an eye on this, by the way, through that 160 again on volume.
Gap went woken. But yeah, so Visa, it looks good to me. Looks like we're going to get a breakout. I would say, next target for me is going to be just, low hanging fruit, 375. Crowd is violent. Well, let's get some crowd control in there, Bickabee.
That was good. That was good. By the way, crowd, hold here. We have a level here. Looks like we back tested. This was a trend line, I believe. Yeah, this was a trend line that we made from the previous all-time high. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the SPY trend line that we just recently took out. SQQQ, new highs now as that continues to print and move higher, and doing so on volume, by the way. Market here pulling back. SPY here, 596. So it did give up that 597 level. CrowdStrike does look like it's bouncing off of this trend line. This looks like a back test of the trend line. Next move should be higher here, 483-ish if that holds.
Oh, really nice little support from the 20-day SMA that's getting there on CrowdStrike. Very nice. And I like that this trend line has been working since, basically since last year. Now, if we can hold this and revisit this trend line a lot sooner than, 3 months from now, I think we could see a break through it. So if we come back up and test this again within a month, we might see this this trend line taken out.
Seeing CoreWeave calls the 175s that expired in the July contract. They're small buy, but seeing that hit the wire here. Let me actually filter this a little bit more so we can now. I'll just look at flow. Still think there's a short coming on CoreWeave, but can't put my money where my mouth is, at least not yet. SQQQ continuing to move to highs here.
200 EMA on the 5 minute for SQQQ is at 2272. We're almost at that level. The pre-market high for SQQQ was 2279. The
KWM bouncing a little bit here, but not back at the VWAP. STSS rejected at the VWAP on its bounce attempt.
Jay Rice saying spot Netflix hit all-time highs today. Those are I think, recession-proof plays.
I would agree with that. Great looking charts too. These things you want to talk here. Let's Spotify. Let's see. Yeah, Spotify 95.82 momentum reading, 98.73 growth reading, and positive short, medium, and long-term trends on Spotify. How does Netflix look by comparison? That was the other one that was mentioned there, right? Netflix 95.24 value on momentum, 92.58 on growth, and positive short, medium, and long-term. Boy, oh boy, these companies just getting it done.
This Moj asking, did you guys see Tesla? We did. Sure did.
We sure did.
And I'm waiting for it to hit 325 because I think that's where it's headed next.
Yep, 325. I had mentioned here 335 was the next spot down. When we first looked at it, looked like we barely even found some support there. Good Lord, we broke right through that. 325 was the next spot you had?
Yep, that's been my range for Tesla, 325 to 360. We already had 360 reject the price, and now we're coming down to 325. I would think that support kicks in down there. But we'll have to wait and see if that ends up happening. Also, here's a mention that's this just showed up on my suspension list or my halt list. Kids, this one that ran to 6 multiple times yesterday, and then went on to go on a little run this morning to 680. This is halted the downside. We are coming. This thing is just broadsorting right now to it's halted at 442. I think it still goes lower to might find support around 420, 415. But even then, I'm not looking to jump into this thing. And it looks like MCTR is not breaking that trend line quite yet. But the fact that it hasn't broken down is encouraging for another test here of this trend line. Maybe we get it that time. So we'll see if this holds up here. At least the 65 EMA, which is at 37.94.
Mullen is halted to the upside here, trying to jam Jay on a short. LOL.
No, I'm not, Martin, for Tesla. Tesla's not something I want to own right now.
Uber pulled back off of that initial pump higher here. Regeneron, by the way, another one on Tim's list. This hasn't really moved yet.
Yep, you guys are hitting it. Daniel Crow, KWM, that just broke its VWAP. This thing is trying to get back up to the pre-market, some of the pre-market levels. The high of the pre-market.
We're right at the trend that I drew.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it looks like it's either there or breaking it, or in the process.
It's through.
Nice.
It's through.
Excellent. STSS also recapturing its VWAP. Now we are starting to get some of these to come back. SXTP, we drew a trend line with this one. That's looking like we could go up and test that. Keep an eye on these. It looks like we're getting a little bit of love from these movers now. Bond, after breaking through this is the China pump name. After breaking through the trend line we drew, we've come back down to it and we're back testing it. Now we're looking for it at support. Let's see if we can recapture the VWAP. And if it does, might go on to hit that 259 print, the high that we got this morning.
Okay, market continuing to pull here on that data print. This is actually near the pre-market lows, also 595. I'm curious to see if the market bounces here. We tried to break out from this area right here yesterday. We actually back tested this before we closed. This area, 595 flat, possible support area there. CLRB flag looks okay. What says Webcoin? This holds here at VWAP. Maybe we return back. I'm going to stay away from the penny names.
I am being asked about where the next support is for Lunar, so I'm going to find that for you. When it comes to Lunar, I've really found some pretty good success in just marking off the increments of 5. So $10, $15, $20. That seems to be work pretty well for Lunar. So having said that, I would be looking at $10 as the next support area after we've lost this 220-day SMA today.
Jay here, Ryan, I had 2,000 shares short on Mullen. Now it's 15 shares because of all of the splits.
Oh,
what's the cost? What's the split adjusted cost basis on that? Because it's like $7 now. What are you short from 7,000? I mean, that's got to be insane. Let me know what your split adjusted cost basis is, Jay.
Here we go with MCTR. We're through that trend line. Let's go.
When the urgency in 13's voice creeps up here, I know I got to move faster than I've been moving.
Brought to you by coffee.
I see your coffee and raise you another cup. 45 here through. Now watch that 46 level.
I'll brew another one after the stream. Oh, man, I can't believe him. If MCTR does end up going to that other trend line that we drew, man, what a day.
What a day is right.
Certainly trying. Just make sure you have your stops ready here, because if this doesn't end up working out, I don't want anybody getting killed in this thing, because it can knife, broadsword, whatever you want to call it, pretty hard. Just make sure you got your stops in place so you're profitable.
Oh, wow. That French woman, Louise Boisson, defeated Mira Andreeva, the young Russian phenom, in the French Open. Sorry, I no one came for the French Open sporting updates, but man, I do love tennis. MCTR continuing. Here we go.
Oh, man. Izzy is asking any trades today.
Yeah,
we're on one right now.
On one right now. I'm actually looking to maybe close some more. I'm hoping TTD moves today. If Ondis moves a little bit more, if Ondis moves a little bit more, I'm going to be selling some of that here.
I got stopped out there on that move down in MCTR, but oh man, that was still good enough for a nice gain there.
I'll tell you what, it's really struggling here at the trend line. It looks like it's battling to me. I'm also looking at the level 2 here.
This is why I was saying that get those stops up, because this is something that could absolutely happen, and it did. Now it's back down to VWAP.
42.
I'll take what I was given.
Yeah, you know what? I will too. Okay, that wasn't much there. That was
It's okay.
39 and change to 42, and not a whole lot of size. But
I mean,
all
yeah,
right.
but that's like what $3 in a split, a blink of an eye. I'll take it.
Smoked tuna here. This needs volume. This is what I was kind of
Yes.
waiting for. This is exactly what I was waiting for on a move above this trend line in smoked tuna. The interesting part about that is that as soon as we peaked our head above it, to use Anne Marie's lingo, when we peaked above that trend line, that volume dried up. That's what I was looking at when I was looking at the level 2 here. Then it made a big whoosh right down to its VWAP there. Chase the volume, not the stock. Tuna. You know what? We got to put that on a shirt. We got to get a thing behind the thing shirt. We got to get a chase the volume, not the stock. And Izzy, by the way, in reference to your question there, I was actually thinking when I was talking to Tim this morning, I was like, you know what? Maybe we'll try some of these short-term swing momentum plays that he listed. I just was not fast enough. Continued with the interview, never bought Uber around the open. This ended up working. I'm going to continue to watch that. Let me know if you need that list. I think you joined a little bit late on that. Here was that list of the ones that were on that oversold RSI. Throw in that list here again in the chat. Uber, Regeneron, Copart, which we actually just talked about on Happy Hour, KVUE, and TPL. Which one? KWM. Got it. I'm not in this one.
Yeah, the first mover from this morning. This thing is going to take out the. It looks like it's going to take out the pre-market high of 584. We're almost to that level. Curious what that don't chase or chase volume shirt's going to look like. Are you going to have? Are we going to have Ryan on the shirt chasing after V equals L times W times H?
I'm a big fan of math equation shirts, so that might work. I was thinking of having the volume bars looking like an increase. And actually, KWM here. I'm not. This is not me. This is not me. But congrats to anyone that's on this one. Yeah, oh man,
MCTR doesn't look like it's finished either. But that was okay. If you had your stop in place, you did just fine with MCTR.
Also, remember what you said yesterday about some of our movers maybe kicking up in the afternoon. Look, if you take a small trade early on, you might not be done.
Yep.
My son has football weightlifting at 7 a.m. Get strong, Izzy. God, that's awesome. Isn't your son the one out there throwing like mid-80s already? Insane. What an athlete you got for a kid there. Let's go.
Yeah, let me know when he's going to be part of the NFL draft. Out KWM. Well done, Crow. Awesome. Well done again, I should say. What else is getting ready to go?
Jay saying Yext, Y-E-X-T. They're going after the beaten up names. Here's a look at your daily chart on Yext. This did move down. Actually, this popped right back to what was this? December, of 2024. Track, football, and 2 baseball teams. Stud. Yeah, I'd say. Well done, Izzy. Izzy's out here making athletes. Let's go.
Yext also has news. They just had earnings yesterday.
Yeah.
Track, football, and 2 baseball teams stud. So basically, we have the next Bo Jackson in the making, right?
Whoa. APLD, pretty decent bull flag. This actually pulled back to the VWAP, held it, and moved back towards the highs. Will, are you still on APLD? Let me know. Lion, take care of yourself. This was a really good, quick morning. Nice job.
Oh, wow.
This is fighting for those previous highs. Yes, it is.
NVTS, this one, I think from yesterday? Is that, if I'm not mistaken, this sold off this morning and now it's recovering.
Well, it did. Yeah, so sorry, it was in play yesterday on the volume and up move, but this was actually from late May with the NVIDIA thing. Here, let me get. It's so stupid, Ryan. Why are you calling it a thing? NVIDIA selects Navitas, ticker NVTS, to collaborate on a next-generation 800-volt HVDC architecture. That was the thing that this was moving on. Yesterday, it was in play. And actually, yesterday's level here gives us a level today, 660.
I'm so glad I name dropped Bo Jackson. Look at the comments. Joseph Schmo saying he was in the bleachers for the Bo Jackson 3 home run game at Yankee Stadium.
Oh my God, that must have been incredible.
Oh man, yeah, I can't.
Was anyone in the stadium for the Raiders football game where he ran down the tunnel?
because you had to go make his baseball game. He had to make-
James says Bo Jackson was my guy back in the day. Y'all ever play Tecmo Super Bowl? Bo Jackson was unstoppable in that game.
I'll do you one better. You ever wake up to Saturday morning cartoons and watch the All Stars? Remember that cartoon that had Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Wayne Gretzky?
Oh my God, yes. That's not a popular one, but I do remember that. God, Mighty Max. You remember Mighty Max?
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing way too much nostalgia here. By the way, TTD, for anyone that was still in that swing, I know it hasn't been great yet. I've actually been adding in small pieces, sometimes one call at a time. This is actually starting to turn around here. I got the 90 calls for this one. July, 90 calls. We got 44 days to expiry. We are curling back up. We've lowered the cost basis to 101. On those calls, we're only 4 cents away. Oh my God.
Smoked tuna. I think I see what you're talking about here now, Ryan. We do draw those trend lines on the upside based on some of those upward.
Which ticker?
This is going to be for KWM.
Got it.
Talking about this going to 7. I can see the case where that maybe hit 7 and more. If we draw if we use the wicks on the top from the impulse move here, and there you go. There we go. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Yeah.
There you go. Good stuff there.
All right. Looks like MCTR isn't finished. It's coming back. It's back over VWAP now, trying to make another move for the trend line. Now, to gosh, who said it? The point that was made earlier about watching the volume. I think it was Smoked Tuna. This thing is looking like it's trying to come back. But like, just watch the volume, because right now the volume isn't really telling us that it's going to break out yet. But if we do get expansion there, that's when we're going to know if it's going to go higher or not.
Ray Dalio on CNBC right now doing an interview with Sarah Eisen. I tell you what, I normally don't comment on stuff like this. Sarah Eisen's blazer is absolutely fantastic. That light blue looks so good on television. Oh my God. Not that that's important at all. Sorry, that really cleared out the room there, didn't it? I didn't mean for that to be the
I
case.
was reading Gary Frost's comment. Which Publix grocery store?
I'll put this on the screen. I missed this completely.
That's a good one.
Meta's rolling. That was one of the strong tech names out of the gate here. Market's actually holding up too. By the way, it did bounce off that pre-market low. Oh, Meta's rolling higher. That's what you meant, Gary. So sometimes rolling means it's rolling over and moving to the downside. Meta's ripping right now.
Yeah, it's must be on this deal to extend the life of a nuclear plant for 20 years. That's the most recent thing that came over the news feed in the past 5 minutes.
Sassy, no, I think that light blue color works better on ladies than it would ever look on me. I just mean with the backdrop, the way the set was, the color just was almost as if it was glowing. Pete, Joe Kernan's your daddy. He's the best on CNBC. He's the only reason we're watching that in the morning. Come on. Sorry, what were you saying? By the way, on this new highs?
Just watching MCTR for some volume expansion. We're back at that trend line again. Looks like we also are getting NCEW going higher. Coming up to the 158 support area in the pre-market. We lost it out of the open, so now that's support turned resistance. 158 could be resistance. I see that there's some sellers right here at 155. So we need to get some pretty good volume expansion here to get through that 158 on the way to VWAP.
Okay, and then going back to MCTR, where are you? By the way, look at KWM, just really kind of fell off that trend line. Going back to MCTR, initially on this first run up here, one of the things I thought we were going to get is a big pop above 46 and then a move to the trend line that I drew. Of course, that didn't happen. I still think that 46, though, is going to be an important spot. And It literally just, as I was talking about it went to 46.50. It stopped there at 46.50. There was size traded at that spot. I'm not in this right now, but oh my God, it went right there. Oh, you were saying make it. Oh, make that. Oh, now I get what you were saying, Sassy. Oh, that's a host error or operator error, if you will. I didn't understand what you mean. Yes, that's a good point. Jay here saying, I got to disagree. I'm not sure who you're disagreeing with, so we'll just put that aside. This chop is not bad after 2 to 3 days of green. I believe it was 4 days. Was it? Did I get that wrong here? We had 4 days of gains in the SPY, right? Let's go back to the daily chart here. 1, 2, 3. Today would have been the 4th. I'm seeing a bit of a rotation into value.
What do you think? Another growth scare coming? Jay?
You let me know.
Just let me know. What do you think? Looks like SQQQ is trying to. It got some support from BUF. It's trying to turn around here. Volume's not great. Let's see what happens. Still would like to see MCTR go higher and break this. It's been getting ever since we opened. It's been running into this issue around 47.30, 47.40. Where it runs into resistance. So there's going to be a breakout coming there if we get enough volume expansion. ASTS and Jeff Bezos rumor. Interesting. Let's see here.
AST, really? Is that in the feed? Is ASTS responding to that?
Watching ASTS Space Mobile's trader circulate unconfirmed analyst note saying Jeff Bezos, Amazon plus Blue Origin could become an investor on an Instagram post.
I wonder if that's a buy the rumor, sell the news thing, but damn.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like it. Oh, here we go. MCTR just made a new high, looking for 50. Got over 48, but still needs better volume. And we got.
Let me ask you, are you going to go back to the well on this one? Here it is. There's 46 again over that. And that time it was actually over that 46.50 area that we stopped at the last time. 47 coming right now and through.
Yeah,
50 I think is coming next, 13.
It seems like when it does get up to certain price levels, it just comes right back in. So I'm not gonna trade this one at this stage right now. I did do a couple of trades. They were perfectly fine. They were great actually. But I don't want to get caught in this thing.
Me either, 13. I did one in this, and it wasn't very big. And the move that I was hoping for on a 46 push above, God, we almost printed 50 right there. And now it's pulling back here. Darn, I was a little early on it. I still got out with some lunch money, but
now we're back down to that support area. When we broke through it, it was resistance, and then it turned to support. So if we could get support here, so we'll see if this is truly done or not. And it may end up going. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I thought you were done. Please finish.
It may end up going down to like 45, maybe slightly underneath that to find some more support. But right now, it's looking like this could get going.
My issue here in terms of taking this for another trade, the volume seems to be tapering off. So I'm not sure that entry at this point makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'll keep watching this. I guess I'm just more a little personally frustrated with myself, but nothing I can't get over. Better than taking a loss, that's for sure.
I'm just kind of looking at the price ladder here, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think it really needs a whole lot of volume to hit some of these levels. It's very spread out.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right about that. I just can't help chase the volume, not the stock.
and here's exactly why I didn't want to do this right now, because it just went right back down to that trend line. So I would expect a lot of this out of MSCTR today, unless we do get some real big volume expansion. But otherwise, you're really, really risking a lot here. So just be careful with this if you are going to trade it.
Ondis, 170 spot on volume. There was a through. They took a gigantic amount of sellers on that offer. See, I just saw 100K shares just printed at 171. On the buy side, there's 20K more. There's another 10K. I know it's a cheap stock, but damn. Look at the volume stick. Let's go. Do I sell a little bit more before 2 is the question. You know what? I'm going to hold out. I've sold the last 2 days. I sold a little bit the last. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for 2. I hope I don't end up regretting this. That's okay, though.
Maybe what if you had like some of your position put out with stops so that if it does come back in, at least you can capture some gains if you're trying to wait for 2.
My last sale was 150. And
Okay.
I had that all day yesterday. I could sell as much as I want at 150. I don't know. I'm going to wait this out. I'm okay now. The big thing here was that when this moved back down from the 3 handle that it did last time, here, let me go to the daily chart so we can see it. When this moved back, when it started to ramp here, this is where I was like, okay, things are going to start taking off. Well, that didn't happen. All right. It moved all the way back down. And I said to myself, okay, Ryan, you literally just got taught a lesson right here. You can't wait for another huge rip. So I was like, well, I don't think this is going to sell off anymore. None of my contacts were thinking this was going to sell off anymore. I'm going to add to the position, lower the cost basis. I did that. Now that it started to move up, I've booked. So I've come to a more realistic holding here, and I'm okay now. So I've bought myself some more time. The reality with this trade has not worked as fast as I've wanted it to work. I was super early on it, and I guess for the longest time I was wrong. Now it's starting to work. I don't want smoke tuna. I think you were saying this the other day when I was talking about Portillo's. I don't want to hold something through a bunch of bad shit, and then when it starts to actually work, you're just out too fast. That's what I'm trying to avoid here. So far, been able to book some, so at least I've paid myself. I don't know if I'm going to go to the stop route. Not today, anyway. We'll see.
Zach McCracken saying that it got a price target, a 240 price target yesterday. I'm sorry, 250, and he's saying the volume is expanding. One of the things that was driving this, just recently was, of course, that attack on the Russia airfield. But then I saw some more news coming out of Ukraine regarding drones of a different nature. they're showing and talking about how they're utilizing vehicle drones, like wheeled drones with guns and rocket and RPGs attached to them to push to take on Russian forces in various areas, and they're having a lot of success with it. So drone guns, basically rolling around, getting Russians out of cover positions, trenches, and meanwhile Ukrainians soldiers don't have to risk themselves. So that was one of the things I saw this morning. Could help fuel the whole drone theme.
Okay. Here's one of the things that I'm looking at. Jay here saying exactly, Ryan. I do that a lot. You get back to even after being down, and then it rips higher. So real quick, let me show you
something about market psychology.
No. So here, there's a CEO at CEO Andis, who's available on Twitter and responds to people, interacts with people on Twitter, which I've a huge shout out.
That's great.
So he had said this is regarding the stuff that happened over the weekend. There's much infrastructure to be built around these safeguards, including the ISR drone infrastructure like Optimus. So I had said, are you seeing any increase in sales at all in lieu of this event? If he had said yes, I would have been so bullish. 13 would have had to hold me down. I'm not even kidding.
I'd have to fly to Chicago and hold him down.
I did not get a response to it. That doesn't mean he could be busy running his company. This is not a criticism of him. I'm just saying, like, my thought process here is, well, we just saw this event here. We just saw how devastating it could be. I'm wondering if the sales are going to kind of follow this whole thing. So I figured I'd ask. No response yet. I'll update you if I get anything on it, though.
And Izzy, I believe you are correct with Amazon ripping on drones, because they are, whether folks know it or not, a very big player in the drone space.
Your MCTR looks like it did hold that trend line as support. I'll be damned. Izzy saying he can't. This is you know what? I should have said this. He can't tell you probably. Maybe he can't publicly. I'm going to ask the question, though, just because I'm holding the stock. So I want to know if he can't, he can't. He's certainly not going to put himself in position that's going to get him in trouble. And I wouldn't expect him to do that either. So
KWM might have found support from the VWAP. It's trying to turn around. volume needs to be better, and we are past that 1030 marker where volume does begin to dry up. So we'll, I mean, it's not a strategy, but I think at this stage, KWM is going to have to be one of those things we hope gets enough volume to take to the trend line. Otherwise, if that's not your strategy, which it shouldn't be, maybe there's something better we could look at. SXTP is about to hit that, or is trying to move through the trend line we drew earlier.
SXTP.
I guess it's not quite through. I mean, I guess your trend line's a little off there with the wicks, but I think if you just moved it over to where they actually touch, you could see that we're trying to move through this trend line right now.
Half the news I see on tech stocks are lawyer alerts for class action lawsuits. Yeah, we call those ambulance chaser lawsuits. I just throw all that garbage out.
You know, the only upper shadows, JJ, that I'm seeing for MCTR happened about 15 minutes ago when we were trying to break through the trend line. I don't see a series yet. Those upper shadows didn't result in downside. They actually went higher. So not seeing any upper shadows quite yet, indicating that we're heading lower here. I'm just watching for VWAP and this trend line to hold. I think that's going to be the bulwark, if you will, of for more upside. If we lose this, then back to the 65 EMA, I think we go.
JG saying, Ryan, that's insider information. How can he tell you that? I am sure that I hear McDermott from ServiceNow and Jensen Huang from NVIDIA and all these other CEOs talk about demand and sales and interest in their product. I'm not looking for some number that's going to get him in trouble. I'm looking for any feedback to see if the event that just happened is causing more interest in the product that I'm hoping ramps. Now, maybe I did. Maybe there's legitimate stuff that he can't say. That's okay with me. And again, I'm not holding, this is not like a con. I'm not like holding this against him. I'm just saying that that was my first thought. And if I had gotten a good answer to that, giddy up. Giddy up.
MOB drone cybersecurity, says Lynn Adams. Let me see here. Is the Mobilicom? Is that how that's pronounced?
McDermott's vocabulary is limited to one word, and Gentic is a great drinking game. That reminds me of the Roxanne drinking game in college where you put on the song Roxanne, and every time they say Roxanne, you take a drink.
That game is played many ways.
You're hammered 5 minutes in.
NVTS, I mentioned this earlier. This is having a good morning. Izzy saying Dollar General is ripping. Music to my ears.
Dollar General came back from its pre-market high. It's just been selling here today. Now, this is after a huge move higher.
Yeah. What was the pre-market high of that? Was it anywhere near 116?
You kind of 115.42.
Not high enough.
Okay.
Yeah, because the 500-day SMA is.
Well, if it's not high enough, we'll just send it to the dispensary. We'll correct that problem real quick.
Okay. Actually, this level from August last year, just days before we ended up with this gap, that's where the price ended up running up to, was that level. So I think that I may have pointed that out. I'm not sure if I did or not, but that's where we got the resistance today. Was from the August 13th prints. I believe that's where it was. So, yeah, this can come back in. It's fine. Still think it goes higher later on, and it's also over 70 RSI. This thing was extended after the earnings report, so I may have even mentioned that this is something that needs to come down from. So, it's fine. Fill the gap. Do whatever. It'll be better later.
Did we lose Day Trader yet to his regular job? Unfortunately, Gal AI account I follow here on X, Russia enters the Bitcoin futures game with BlackRock's IBIT, signaling a new era in crypto regulation. The launch of Bitcoin futures on the Moscow exchange connected to BlackRock's IBIT indicates a significant evolution in Russia's crypto landscape. The recent uptick in community sentiment also reflects growing optimism particularly as futures provide a regulated pathway for qualified investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin.
Well, if they went heavy on that, I hope Bitcoin tanks.
Oh, I mean, I know why you're saying that, but I don't.
I know.
Hold Bitcoin.
I know. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Wow, what is going on? Crow mentioning Loop Industries. What on earth did this go on?
This halted earlier, didn't it? This popped. Someone called this. Someone called this on the right here, the 196 halt. This might have been a tuna call earlier. It went higher, sold all the way back down. Might be going back to VWAP here.
It looks like it didn't have any news this morning. Had news yesterday. Oh, okay. Actually, late yesterday. So late that there was only 9 minutes left in the day when this news broke. So this would probably be more of news from today, I would say, because nobody's really trading this at 11:51 p.m.
Izzy, you're asking APLD calls Ryan ? What are you asking me? If there was calls traded here, I do see several pretty good flows here, but these look like some of these were likely closed. Here, you got more. Yes. So you got the 20 calls here. There was a 500 lot. These are for
SXTP
this week. Then we also had January leaps here for APLD. So yes, there is some call buying going on here. APLD, yes. Sorry, which one, 13?
SXTP. Trend breaker. Nice job, CA Forsman.
Oh, man, that's trend and VWAP break there.
Nice. Trend line still juicy.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. That's what happens. So when I filter for a stock, I got it. Let me take some notes here real quick, 13. Help me, Phil.
Okay. CA Forsman is saying out of PSY short. I'm going to take a look at that. What was the story here with this one? I don't see PSY. I see number of PSY and then another letter. You'll have to tell me what exactly you're talking about there because I don't see PSY exactly. Can't bring that one up. Anyway, Iridium having a nice morning after it dropped down to 25.88. So we're back at the session highs. Let's look at some of these movers that we were looking at this morning. KWM, that's still getting some VWAP support for a turnaround there. BAOS, this also trying to recapture its 200 EMA on the 5-minute, very low volume. STSS has been spending all morning trying to recapture VWAP. No luck yet, but might have some success here in a matter of minutes, or it's just going to break down. SXTP after that move up, it's coming back down to VWAP, testing the trend line. TGL, this went down and sideways.
Okay, thank you.
No
I think
problem.
I just figured out what was causing this to act funky here, and I wanted to deliver that and the screenshots to the developer. That is exciting. Okay. APLD, by the way, I know we were just kind of talking about this. This actually looks like this flag is going to try and break higher here.
CF Rosman says NBIS wants to make a move. I think it looks like it might. What are we thinking here? I mean, I want volume to be better. I would think that if it does make a move, 38.30 is going to probably be the resistance area to watch for. I do see that there's a big seller at 38.25. So that's going to have to be taken out if we're going to, see 38.30. Not like in these wicks that's been putting in over the past 15 minutes.
I got a trend line for NBIS going back on the 15-minute chart, going back to the Thursday, 29 May top candle here through the top candle that we have here today. That gives me the trend line on NBIS.
All right, I'm going to draw that too. And you said that's from the 4180?
Yes.
All right.
Bingo.
Okay.
What's going on, Mike? Great to see you. Izzy trying to trigger me by telling me Elizabeth Warren is going on CNBC. Thank you. I'll make sure not to look at the television. What else we got in here? Lily, nice move. Mike, were you around when we talked about that as a swing long thesis based on the technical setup and the seasonality setup that we had? That one was good. That was another community trade here.
CFRs, when you're talking about you're going to sell SPY long at 597.46, are you like, what do you, I'll just, like, tell me what you mean by that, because are you buying inverse ETF? Let me know what your plan is there, if you wouldn't mind. Ooh, NCW.
Okay, another good day.
Yeah, it's been a great day, actually. Wow, SXTP with a big old broadsword into a halt. Ugly.
Off the trend line.
Yeah. That was a nasty gravestone doji. Right at the top there. STSS also coming down. Be careful with these movers from this morning. We may see that happen with a lot of these. KWM could be the next one to go if it loses VWAP.
Yeah. Zach McCracken, been a great week, not a day. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Ondas, unfortunately, pulling off of its 171 high.
Oh, great call on NBIS. Look at this thing. It's starting to move now. Great call.
I wonder if the story trading boys are trading this.
Smoke to mentioning MODV. Look at that. Okay, so this just got back above its VWAP, trying to hold above it. It's got some pretty big resistance around this 270 area, 269, 270. I'm sure you see that on a smaller time frame. That's going to be the level to get over, I think.
NVTS at yesterday's intraday high. I'm pretty sure I just saw Red Robin Gourmet Burgers pop up on the scanner as that is up 11%. This has been a mover since earnings.
I didn't have that on my bingo card, but this is a short squeezer.
Red Robin?
Yes, 19.36% of the float shorted 14 days to cover. So they're still covering.
Kathy asking about Roma, ticker ROMA. Not one I'm familiar. Whoa, this has been on a run. Roma Green Finance. This thing came from penny territory.
That's what I was going to ask, because I remember this being a penny stock. Where is it at now? Okay, we're getting out of that territory. Still a lot
principally engaged in the provisions of ESG, corporate governance, and risk management, as well as sustainability and climate change advisory services. That's what this company does here. Got good trend scores, got good momentum score. Yeah, I would imagine this thing is just ripping higher here. Kathy, not a stock that I'd necessarily want to be in theme-wise, and I also wouldn't want to chase this move here, but if I'm what happened? You know what that might have been? Yeah, this is a ticker change. So this is nothing here. So this is actually what we care about. Let's actually get
was that a ticker change? When was that drop?
It had to have been, because the chart here goes from December 2013 to January 2024.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I was just only wondering because later that year, last year, they did an offering, and offerings can do that.
Does this have any? What are the insiders doing with this one? I have no insider information. I would say this. I don't know enough about this. What I do know about this turns me off to it. I don't know enough about it that I would be bullish on at this time.
So the previous ticker, when it was another company, this was the last headline for that was the Fed approves investors' bank corp purchase of Roma Financial. That's what it used to be.
Okay.
So Investors Bank Corp picked them up, and that ticker was ISBC. I don't know. I don't think that's active on the exchange anymore. Anyway.
Roma started to take. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here with this, Kathy, but this is a huge move. My big thing here is I just wouldn't want to chase this. Pete wants to know about Red Robin 13. I can do the screen share here if you want to do the breakdown on it since he asked you.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the
looking
question?
for an entry point unless this is a chase?
At this stage, it could be. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't know. Wow, this thing went to that 650 level and it broke through it. Okay, so I don't know. Do you have 650 marked off there? Put a 650 line if you wouldn't mind.
Got it.
I would not buy this up here with the RSI at 86 and this thing just absolutely massively ripping. There might be a little bit more upside. It takes it up to the 500-day SMA. But here's what I'd be watching for. If this move can hold above 50 and allow the RSI to cool off, or maybe it falls beneath 650, I would be much more interested in a long position in this one. Not that I'm going to do it, but I would be more interested in if we got the RSI to a more nominal level and it came down to about $5. I don't want to see this lose the 200-day SMA, and that $5 level appears to have been a resistance turn support level just recently, just on this move that we've had through earnings. So $5 would be the spot I'd be looking at for entry should we get come back down in here. That would be my spot. Hopefully that helps.
You guys, are you trolling me? Who is this? Takuetsu? Tak, I guess is what you go by. Are you trolling? Are you trolling? It's okay. You can be honest. We won't ban you too hard. Just wondering. There is a Form 8 is all we got here on Mullen. But the fact that we're even talking about Mullen here and some legit catalyst, you don't really need it. This is a crappy fraud company that does nothing but dilute to oblivion. So it just happens to be running today. Secures a 14.4 million through new agreements. But that was a partner link. Did this come from, that came from yesterday, right? No, that was the...
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can
offering to employee via benefits. Yeah, it's very, very tough for me to even consider this after everything that we've watched here. I think this is complete junk. It's just it.
So nothing new?
I don't think so. But it is ripping here today. I mean, it's up 166%. I'm not denying that, but
yeah, CF Forsman, that thing is still going, and it's got to hit that trend line that Ryan drew. It certainly looks
which
like
one?
It's gonna happen. NBIS.
Oh, and okay.
We're almost to that trend line.
Oh, where did the time go today?
Well, time flies when you're having fun. And I'm sure chat's having a great day.
Well, also, I thought maybe we had something else here, but my producer would have been on top of it. We're good. Everything's good. Story trading here in 10 minutes.
Sounds good. Looking at some of these other names. The kids are trying to recover, but still back in the orphanage, right?
That was Joe. I mean, and now Joe's mentioning Chris Mullen here.
SXTP's still halted after that broadsword. Bond. This one might be making. I mean, this is the junky China name, but this might be making another move through a intra-session trend line. So if you go to just the price action from today and draw a trend line from the high that we made at 10 o'clock through the highs recently, that's the next trend line that potentially could break.
I would even go to the pre-market. No, yeah. What does story trading mean? Story trading is the name of the show that's on right after us on Wednesdays. They have their own Discord. That's all it means. Just another group of traders.
Oh my God, MCTR turned around and came back up, but it's hasn't broken over that I haven't broken over 50 yet. It's crazy.
Jay, I have a float here of 500,000 shares on Mullen. Well, you can also take a look here on Know the Float. Know the Float has this. Oh my God! Know the Float has this at 6 million and Yahoo. Here, this has got to be wrong.
I'm sorry to hear about your bad day, Izzy, but I'm not going to worry about you because I know you're going to do just fine. You've been absolutely killing it, especially with Amazon.
I was going to say you also had a great week here.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that folks that are active all the time and doing well all the time, even if it seems like that, if you're a trader and you're actually trading, you will have bad days. That's just how this job works.
Yesterday wasn't great for me. I ended up slightly under flat. NBIS, great call in the trend line. Right to it. Just tested it just now. Good stuff.
Any thoughts on Circle IPO? What's the ticker on that? I'll look into that.
Yeah, I'd like to know the ticker too. I'll look at it as well. What else is going on here? Okay, so SXTP is open and heading lower. Might not find any support until maybe 250s.
What?
Yeah, you'll have bad weeks sometimes.
Seeing a news report here that over 20,000 people were evacuated in Cologne after finding a World War II bomb.
Oh, wow.
Wow is right.
An unexploded one, huh? And where you said?
Yeah, I just saw that on X, and it's just a headline. I was actually looking for an article to click through and read, and it didn't have one. So
where did you say that is?
Cologne, which I believe is in France.
That sounds like no, it's actually Germany, I think.
Cologne.
Cologne. That's Germany.
Okay, so Germany then.
You weren't too far off.
I mean,
yes.
Look,
Okay, got the news here. Gotcha. German city evacuates 20,000 after unexploded World War II bombs, plural, are found.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, and who knows if which bombs those are, theirs or the Allies.
Lululemon puts. Remember, they report earnings tomorrow after hours. This is not a huge. It's 100 contracts to 250 put. Good Lord, and that expires in March of next year. So that's more of a leap than anything else. CoreWeave 200 calls going off. Those are the ones that expire next week. I mean, it's just insane.
Crazy limits on well, you have fun with it.
What's that?
Gary Frost is saying crazy limits on Mullen 13. I don't know if he's telling me or that number has any other significance, but yeah, I imagine Mullen has all kinds of crazy things. Have fun, be careful. That's all I got to say.
Jay here saying, I live in Cologne. Total chaos traveling in the downtown. Man, stay safe.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, maybe stay out of the blast radius, just in case.
Okay.
Sorry for, the candor there, but I'm serious. Be careful. We'd like for you to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, we would very much like to see everybody back tomorrow. Angelica.
Well,
MDD.
Horseman. Jeez, he nailed it again.
Do you hear that reverb? After you slam your desk, did you hear that reverb?
No, probably me from slamming my desk.
No, I know. It's funny. Daniel says, I'm looking to short Mullen. Ask Jay. Turns out he's pretty good at that. Lulu, been moving up into earnings. The bar is getting higher. So you think that they might end up missing here? Angelica, you were asking about MDB. It does look like MDB put in a bottom here. We were looking to see if this would form a right shoulder for a potential inverse head and shoulders. I'm not sure that. 13, maybe take a look at this and you let me know what you think here. Did it form that right shoulder? To my eye, it doesn't really look like it did. Maybe
It would have been nicer to see it come down to, like 174 or that level, but it does have that a decent enough formation, I think, and with the earnings catalyst today after the close, that could send this up. That could end up being the breakout over 200 that I'm sure everybody's looking for. Maybe what is the neckline, like 199? I'd say 199 is the neckline, but breaking over that's gonna potentially cause a gap fill if these earnings are really good. And they guide well.
So I don't have a line on the earnings here, Angelica. I don't know if that's what you were looking for. The chart, if this is going to beat, the chart looks pretty primed here to move higher, like by a good amount. And we also remember if we do start to break this area out, we've got a gap fill here from like 200 to 253. So there's some room here on the chart that 200 days up there at 245, that would make a pretty good target. I don't know what to expect out of the print though.
Yeah, I would. I think it would be beneficial to look and see what the expectation is for this, and we are going to get an implied move on the earnings print toward the end of the day, so that will be helpful as well. I would be very curious to see if we end up breaking over 200 and running on those earnings prints, because it really does have the setup.
Yeah.
And NBIS, this thing just hit a secondary trend line that I drew from the pre-market at 805 through the 940 high. We just went up and hit that trend line just now. This thing is insane.
We're cooking.
We are cooking. We're cooking.
We're cooking here. You're welcome, Angelica. Thanks for joining us here, by the way. We appreciate you. I thought one of those bombs popped. Thankfully, they didn't this Moj. That would have been terrible. There's someone was given a stat about how much during World War II, estimated 10% of bombs dropped failed to explode. This means out of near every 10 bombs dropped, roughly one will remain unexploded. So that's how they're still finding some of these. That is a terrifying thought. Not going to lie. Terrifying thought there. Okay. Where are we at? Let's see. Where are we at with time? 13. Time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time. It's time for the story trading, guys. Got any wrap up here for the group today?
Hey, folks. Well done again today. It's been another fun day. Hopefully we have another day like this tomorrow. Enjoy story trading. And we'll be back here tomorrow. And we'll find some more movers. We'll trade them. We'll have a nice rest of the week. I'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay, really good stuff here from 13. We'll take care of 13. We will see you tomorrow. 13's departure leaves room for the story trading group. Let's start bringing them on here. Here comes Ben. Here comes Rhett. Here comes the Godfather. Gentlemen, how are you today? Happy Wednesday.
Doing great. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm doing really good. I've had a number of really good days here. I actually scalped a piece of junk here today.
Nice.
Some of the swings are working here, looking to take some more gains on an investment that I've been in for a couple of years. So a lot of good stuff here.
Beautiful.
Godfather, you on this MBIS rip here?
Yeah, well, we've been trading that mostly by the valuation differential that's sitting at cores. I think that was really highlighted by the APLD deal that was done with CoreWeave, and I see CRWD keeps making new highs here. It's amazing. 4x since the IPO now, and so you're seeing that funnel through in terms of valuation and NBIS. But if you put the three of those primary data players, rank them by valuation, it's CoreWeave, NBIS, and then Cores, CORZ.
Yeah.
And the deal that they did, CoreWeave did with Cores, is way better from an economic standpoint than what we saw out of APLD. So there's some real catch up in terms of valuation that's to be had there. And so we've been taking some of our chips and moving them onto the CORZ table. But it's nice to see the AI trade back, and it's nice to see some of these data centers front and center.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so first of all, I should have asked you guys about NBIS when we first talked about this, when it first came, I guess, IPO'd or ticker change or whatever. I traded this from 17.5 to 26-ish and thought I was doing a great job. Pains me to look at it here at 40. I'll get out of your hair. Have a great day, folks.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Well, it's been a crazy market, really catalyst rich the last few days. Individual stocks really outperforming. And I've been in that place where I'm not really caring what the market does. The market looks great, actually. I did give my analysis this morning after the China tariff news back on May 12th. I was saying we could get to all-time new highs, and that from a chart perspective, that really looks like it's starting to play out. Guys, look at how close we are. This has just been a squeeze, nonstop market squeeze here. Look at the weekly RSI, I think, is what you got to look at to see this heading over 540 on QQQ. But I don't really play the indices or the big caps. I just like to have a stable or bullish macro backdrop to be able to trade specific stocks, and that's what we're doing. I'm just going to highlight two stocks, and then I'm going to pass it on over to the Godfather to talk about cores a little bit more. So in any case, SPRO, this is a name I've been on since this news hit, phase 3 news. Phase 3 was canceled because of efficacy. They stopped the phase 3 trial. So Spiro is doing this in together with their partner GlaxoSmithKline, and now GSK is going to take over all the expenses. Spiro is going to get milestone payments here throughout the remainder of the year. From the research I've done, this thing is worth $4 to $5 easily, and I have not really. I just took some off the table this morning at 272 because I have a 20% position right now. But look at the weekly chart. This thing is gorgeous. On the weekly chart, I'm not giving up on this. Targets 318 resistance. Well, 295 resistance first. The targets are 318 and then 360 on Spiro. That's SPRO. Currently, my largest trade position. And then let me talk about SPCB. Actually, start with Geo, because last week I told you, hey, Geo, big news is coming. And it didn't quite work out the way I wanted. But Rhett, you were there when I called out the $27 call options for 5 cents on Friday, which did a 10x return in like 20 minutes. This end of day pump was because of the news that we were looking for, passage of the Oklahoma budget, which includes in it about $312 million, I believe it is, to buy a Oklahoma facility from Geo. And that money, when it comes in, is going to deleverage the company enough to start doing more aggressive buybacks or dividends, things like that. It's a very significant event. It has not been PR'd by the company yet because they're waiting. I talked to the investor relations. They're waiting for that purchase order to be complete. That'll happen in the next week or two. Maybe by the middle of June, you're going to see a press release out of Geo that they're selling their facility for $314 million to the state of Oklahoma. And when that happens, you're going to see a nice big open green candle to at least the 50 DMA, 28.50, maybe up there towards $30. But look what I found this morning, guys. Last night, I was looking at Geo, doing a little bit of research to see if there's any new news out on that. And someone mentioned on social media, SPCB is taking market share away from Geo. I'm like, what? I'm like, I thought the only border stocks were like Geo and CXW. So I'm like, what is this SPCB? And I looked it up, and lo and behold, it is an immigration enforcement stock, electronic monitoring, and it looks to be like, it looks to have inflected from a financial perspective, but also if you look at the news flow, every week they're getting like a new state. They got North Carolina today. They got Nebraska last week. The week before that, they got Virginia. I mean, unbelievable growth in the United States. And they seem to be winning these electronic monitoring contracts. In Canada, they got one. Israel, they got the big one. I mean, it's crazy what's going on here with just a 50 million market cap. There's some speculation out there that Geo will have to buy them. Anyway, before we talk about cores, Godfather knows, did he have a chance yet? We did this research. This is crazy. We were doing the research live on our stream this morning when the thing was like $9 or $10.50, was it? About 10:40. And I hadn't bought it yet. And we're looking at the press release, we're looking at the financials, and then like together we bought some at 10:50, and I've been buying it all morning. I kept buying a high a day like 5 times already today. Buying this high a day. I put it in my short-term account, my long-term account, my swing account. Let's see. This is the first we're hearing from the Godfather knows. Did he have a chance to look at this? Any thoughts on SPCB?
I haven't completed my work on it, but first blush, I'm just going through their earnings that they reported on the 14th of May. Very solid numbers. not so much on the top line yet, but they did highlight the fact that you're right. They're focusing their business on winning contracts in the U.S. And they've signed like 20 new electronic monitoring contracts, basically since mid 2024, so middle of last year when they really focused their sales efforts on the U.S. 10 points plus in terms of gross margin expansion in the most recent quarter. That's what I'm focused on in terms of profitability. They're building cash on the balance sheet. Tiny float here, guys, 3.7 million, with almost a 10% short interest, which is interesting. So it's ticking a few boxes. I need to dig in. I want to see what the insiders have been doing with their stock. I want to, make sure there isn't anything hidden in the capital structure. I haven't gone deep yet into the filings on that, but at first blush, certainly looks interesting, and it twigs my memory. I've got to go back to my historical files because there was a point where I looked at this before. So stay tuned for more, and the full details will be on the Discord. I'm going right back to it as soon as we're done this show.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you get a starter position if you haven't already. But look at I just got to show this weekly chart. Rhett was looking at this with me. The daily chart, you're like, I don't know. It's gone up a lot. RSI is overbought, but if you look at a combination of the fundamental, the valuation, but then look at this weekly chart. Rhett, what are your comments on this weekly chart?
Yeah, I mean, the weekly chart looks very compelling and looks like it has room for another leg up, if you ask me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, I put a target out there of 1370 to 1895. We'll see if it happens. But anyway, I'm really pumped about that. And there's so much to talk about, but I want to talk about cores, and because APLD, I had a call option position over the weekend. I was not available Monday. I wasn't trading, but I put a limit order. I was able to sell those calls for 100% gain. They'd probably be up 300% now. But looking at APLD after that CoreWeave deal, doing what it's doing, makes me a little bit more interested in cores. Let's hear from you, the Godfather, why it should matter. Is there a sympathy play here, a valuation play? But I'm looking at APLD and I'm like, I want to make money on this theme. And then I see cores breaking the 200 DMA. So talk to us.
Yeah, look, it's tough to value these names. It's tough for me to really understand, why CRWD CoreWeave has done exactly what it's done since the IPO, way ahead of where I would expect it to be trading. But since the solid numbers out of NVIDIA, the shine has been back on the AI trade with special focus on data centers, and it's about not just megawatts but hosted megawatts, and it's about the geographic location as well for latency, because that's becoming increasingly important as we transition from teaching to inference for these big LLMs. So look, here's the situation. A year ago, almost today, CoreWeave tried to buy cores for 575 cash. That was
for how much cash?
575 a share.
575 a year ago. Okay.
Cash a year ago. What's happened since then? Well, in that time frame, in those 12 months, they've taken their options for megawatts from cores from 16 to 590 megawatts, and they're funding all of that construction. So all of the leasehold improvements, if you want to look at it from that kind of standpoint, because they're effectively a landlord, for these servers. All of that is to the benefit of cores, and cores has to fund. It's being funded by CoreWeave. CoreWeave is a $70 billion company now. Cores is still struggling to break over 4 billion. So I look at these and I think, well, the cost of capital at CoreWeave, I know it's a bit confusing here, CoreWeave has got to be better than Cores. Cores is still sitting on 270 megawatts that they're dedicated to Bitcoin mining. Now, I know you're going to lose some of that in transition, but it seems to me that CoreWeave now has a problem whereby they need to backfill megawatts, hosted megawatts, quickly. I looked at Jefferies and several other analysts that have targets out on CoreWeave, and it's already well in excess of their high-end targets. And they're like, to get to these high-end targets, we need to backfill 1.3 gigawatts. So that's hard to find. Witness the the Meta CEG deal, right? Everybody is scrambling to try to find megawatts. So I just think it makes sense that ultimately that 270 gets converted, or a good portion of that gets converted. I think with this really expensive paper in the market, CoreWeave comes in and makes another stab at cores. Even if that doesn't happen, there's a valuation arbitrage here that the market is just starting to recognize, and you can see it. As we mentioned, talking in the preamble here, you can see the response in NBIS. We've liked NBIS not just because of their data assets, but because of the value we see hidden in their autonomous driving assets and several of their other on-balance sheet assets that are being monetized. So in that order, in terms of expensive to least expensive, and right now, Core's CORZ is by far the least expensive.
So you like cores more than MBIS right now? Put it all
I
together. Not
do.
the valuation from a technical and catalyst, like an overall picture. You like cores better than MBIS right now?
Yeah, I think we were really highlighted to how good a deal they have with CoreWeave when we saw the APLD deal, and APLD went up 45% on that deal. I mean, it's crazy. So I think it's just a matter of time. If the market doesn't arb out this value, it'll be done by a strategic, and the only one that makes sense to buy them is CoreWeave, because they already represent over 2/3 of the HPC.
Oh, there you go.
volume.
I sold a little MBAS this morning, just because I was looking for somewhere to raise cash, because I was buying where is that? The new one I talked about, SPCBI. This is my retirement account, and I still had cash left over from the NBIS sale. I just put all of that, whatever is left over, to work right now. Just about Core Z at high of day. So awesome analysis.
If you total up the cash that's on the balance sheet, the amount that's to come in from warrants, and the amount that they're going to receive from CoreWeave, just to build out those hosted megawatts, you're in excess of the current share price. So you're basically getting 207 megawatts of Bitcoin mining for free. I think it's worth noting, we highlighted this in our Discord yesterday, that there's been some irregular options activity in this as well. Over $1.5 million just in 3 contracts alone. The January 30s, the August 20s, and the December 22s. Those are massively out of the money. This is stock trading just over $12 now. So does that point to somebody knowing something? Possibly. It's not the first time we've seen unusual activity in options and then follow on see a strategic transaction. So
man, I want to get back to trading.
this mosaic this together,
there
but
you go. Everyone's listening to you right now, and I also love this break over the 200 TMA. Beautiful, man. Someone's asking about Bull. Did we get stopped out? Let me just mention about this. So Bull, I was playing primarily the warrant situation with Bull Z, and I think Godfather was as well. And I had some left. By the way, I ended up making like 30 grand on Bull Z in this trading account. So I did leave. You want to call it stopped out, not price stopped out, but story stopped out, right? I did end up selling all my Bull Z. That's because they were what's the terminology, Godfather? They were called to be, what is it when the company buys it back for a penny, redeemed.
They're
So they're announced to be redeemed, those warrants. I thought this Bull Z had a 5-year expiry coming. So I'm like, well, that's really cheap. Not only that, but there's a reset mechanism. So the lower Bull goes, the lower your conversion price goes. So this was like the best deal on Wall Street for a while, in my opinion. I was all over this. But when they said we're going to redeem this within 30 days for a penny, it all of a sudden changed into a really good risk reward 5-year outlook into a 30-day call option on something that can go below the strike price of $10. So I had to sell my remaining Bull Z. That last tranche of Bull Z, I sold for a loss. That last tranche of Bull Z, whether you want to call it stopped out or what, but it wasn't a price stop. It was a story stop, because this became a 30-day call option, which I wanted nothing to do with. So Bull, the underlying, I haven't really been in that. It wasn't about that. It was about the warrant arbitrage. But I'll keep an eye on Bull. This is the Bull app you're looking at, Webull. I love the Webull phone app as well. And I think they're going to have like a premium in their stock above fundamental fair value. So at some point, hopefully we'll have a chance to get back in bull again. I wish them the best and hope we get some positive updates, but I might want to say positive catalyst or positive fundamental update before heading back into bull personally. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that.
Yeah, I'll just add from a fundamental basis, and if you're in our Discord, you can see my valuation table and other work on this. So I compared it with all the other online broker comps. Obviously, Hood is stretching valuations higher and rumors of being added to indices and so on. But I looked at it relative to Interactive Brokers, Schwab, Hood, and I get to around $11.50 to $12, which was kind of where it was when they reported the quarter. So from a fundamental basis, it is actually starting to look interesting here. And I think there's probably some strong support at 10, which of course is the SPAC number as well, the IPO number. So I think from a risk reward basis, your downside is starting to get relatively limited. But as Ben mentioned, we were interested in this, not so much, from a really bullish valuation call on bull, but because of the mechanics and the arbitrage that existed in the warrants, which that opportunity really isn't there now. You've got the bull W's, of course. What those become interesting to me when the stock trades over 11.50, which is the strike.
Okay, there you go. That's
just better things to do at this point.
I agree.
Now.
So you're not in it now, yeah? Yeah, I'm not either.
No.
Okay, good. Well, look at this Corsi, man. I got some call options as well. Rhett, did you add the same call options with me on Corsi? It was 11.50 next week.
I added a little size, nothing crazy though.
Yeah,
I should have went big.
Actually, they're only up a little bit. They're up. I got them for 90 cents or about $1 at the midpoint right now. So nothing crazy, but man, this is just looking so good above the 200 DMA with APLD up 20.
Should we talk about drones for a second?
Yeah, let me go to my drone list.
Kathleen
Drones are
Levitt's,
just freaking exploding.
Caroline Levitt's comment yesterday in her
I may have
press
missed
conference.
that one. I wasn't around, but yeah, look at Kate.
So there's a link in the Discord, but obviously small drones are part of the zeitgeist right now, given the Ukraine success in their attack on the Russian aircraft. And then in her daily presser, Caroline Levitt, I think it was in response to a question, and you can see the link. It's been posted on X. Just search under UMAC or RCAT. Several folks have pressed this, or press release this, or reiterated this press release clip. And basically, she said, expect an executive order from Trump on drones in relative short order. And it was when that actually hit that we saw this follow-on leg up in both UMAC, which of course has the Donald Trump Jr. connection, and RCAT. And if you look at the drones yesterday, it was really just these two that had any volume and any sort of price response. It was fairly muted. The others, I see we're getting a little bit more response through the group today. It's sort of expanded into ONDS up 20%. I see MOBs up 15%, PDYN, OPTT. So definitely those names are in play.
Yeah, I agree.
I have been playing it and have been advocating in our Discord to play it through a barbell approach. Get your stake and then get a little sizzle on your stake. And the stake here is KTOS, which is large established company in that space, making propulsion mechanisms in addition to drone technology, in addition to anti-drone technology. So there's a play from Golden Dome side as well. And then, the sizzle on my stake is through UMAC, because clearly this is probably the highest beta name to, any sort of EO that happens.
PDYN's been crazy high beta since the beginning. And I'm not sure I've figured it out why yet. I tried to research this a couple times, and I'm not sure I understand why it has such wild swings. But you
buy dips and sell rips though when it comes to the small end of the spectrum on these names, because they can go in and out of love by the market very quickly.
Yeah, so all these drone names in play. I am also currently only in UMAC in my trade account. I got the KTOS in my retirement account. ONDS, I wasn't around yesterday, but I did have some limit orders come in, and bought it and sold it. It was fun, but I wish I was in it today, up 20%. All right.
I see AVAV mentioned in the comments, and yes, sure. Along with KTOS, two of the larger big cap names playing in this space. I was
The
really
AVAV is
disappointed by
larger drones, though, right? They're not the small drones.
Yeah, it's larger drones, and I was really disappointed by management and the most recent quarter. That said, it has come off of its lows, and look, any initiatives in this group is going to benefit both of
Yeah.
those guys. They're both
Although
the bit of incumbents.
Oh,
I think Ben's frozen.
yeah, I think he's back. Oh, we lost him. Alrighty. Well, in the meantime, I see someone's asking about, where was it? There was a comment on ASTS and with the satellites, with the towers. Well, here's the thing. By 2025 and 2026, they're trying to shoot up 60 satellites. And then for them to get full coverage with taking over market share, they need 250. And that's a 2-year span. Then you also have the regulatory issues and all that. And that's if they have all successful. Then the life of those satellites is only 7 to 10 years. So looking at that, I mean, the full execution on that, if they're going to start taking over the towers, like on the ground, probably by 2028, 2030 is my suggestion for that. And that's for ASTS.
Everyone got excited about a picture with management and Jeff Bezos yesterday.
Yep, that as well.
I haven't been playing this. Is there a rumor mill that associates a possible Amazon investment
I mean, they have their own.
in ASTS? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have heard that, but I mean, they have their own. I don't think they would, and I think they would honestly decline it. If, in my opinion, we'll see. Then, sorry, I'm looking at these comments.
Look, guys, I think it's worth mentioning that we've got the biggest weight in the SMH, the SOXL, reports Thursday after the close, that being Broadcom. If you pull up the Broadcom chart, you'll see this thing is.
Sorry, before that, you were talking about ASTS and the Amazon rumor that came from Scotia Bank this morning. They reiterated their price target of like $45 or something, and then they speculated that Jeff Bezos could take a stake in it.
I just want to caution people about Broadcom here. Look at this. This is your setup going into earnings. For most companies, you would not want to play an earnings report if this is your setup. It's important to know that it's 8% of SOXL, which exceeds the weighting of NVIDIA. It is the third largest weight in the SMH. My concern is that we're above the 200-day on all the indices, which is nice here. We're only about 5.5% above the 200-day on the SMH, which is a leading sector in the market. And if we get a response, to earnings that, similar to what we had at a CrowdStrike, where the market says this thing is already priced to perfection, then I think that 200-day could come into focus. And that makes me concerned about the market as a whole. And then I think about the other drivers in the market. Q1 earnings are basically behind us now. What are we looking at in terms of headlines? Well, the thing that moves the market most right now is trade. China is stalled. Look at this big, beautiful bill, which seems to be, hitting some stall. I'm actually surprised to see the 10-year yield below 4.4. And that, let me just reiterate, that's a green light here. Once it starts creeping above 4.5, I think you get into yellow light territory. I look 59.70 or 59.80 where we are now on 59.83 on the S&P. We're right at this level. It failed here yesterday. We need to get through this, otherwise that 56.60 gap in the chart comes into play on the SPX. So I'm just looking at everything appearing lofty, and look, we had 6.2% return in the month of May. This is the best move in the S&P since November of 2023. And that all, for the most part, came in the first 2 weeks. I mean, we've essentially flatlined, for the last 2 weeks of May. Now, I know that this next 6-week period seasonally is supposed to be one of the strongest of the market, with the exception of sort of late Q4. So I'm hoping those seasonals come into effect. But I just, look at where the headlines are, where the catalysts are to take this market higher, and it strikes me that the burden of proof is to find something positive as opposed to something negative at this point. So I'm getting cautious. I'm building cash. I want to be in a position to take advantage of some fat pitches and a sell off, and I do think we need to see that, and I think we're ripe to see that, frankly. And the other thing that concerns me is, Trump has given this ultimatum, right, to the countries, to get your best foot forward in terms of a deal in the next couple of days, so that we can negotiate this into the July 9th deadline, which is, creeping on to just over a month away. My concern is that, he sort of doubles down on his protectionist stance that he's had for a decade and pushes back against all this kind of taco rhetoric that, he's a pushover and he really does just care about short-term growth. And that's a negative to the market. So all of those things in the mix, I'm just weighing the ledger of positives and negatives, and it gives me a cautious stance right now. So individual stocks, yes. Day and scalp trades, yes. Adding to long-term holdings, I think you're going to get some better days ahead here. So I just wanted to get out my macro stance.
All right, sounds good. From macro perspective, also something to consider. You mentioned the bonds. I got into TLT this morning. It's paying off as maybe a sort of a hedge this morning, but gold looking great on the daily. Maybe if we hit some bumps like you're talking about with Avco, this chart has just been beautiful. And we're still waiting for Russia to respond to Ukraine. What's been the update on that? I went dark Sunday night when Ukraine attacked Russia, and I was and gold just exploded overnight into Monday, as I think the world was expecting a big retaliation. What's the latest? Anyone know on that?
There hasn't been one.
So I
Yeah,
think
There hasn't been
looking at
anything
the
out of
gold
Russia.
chart, that might be something. That might be something to play. I might look at that. I might take some gold options into Avgo earnings and towards the end of the week, and I'm very surprised. I think Russia might do something. I'm not sure. Who knows? Will they fold? Will they fold after being embarrassed like that? I don't know.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing them, probably not. Sadly.
So I think gold can be a good play, a good hedge for geopolitical risk right now. And that brings us.
And then Ben, there was a question they're asking about GSRT. Any idea when the conversion vote is? I don't think that's out yet.
It's a Q2, or sorry, a 2H, so a second half
Yeah.
event. They haven't given a tighter time frame than that. But that's worth mentioning.
I moved my CLBR money into this one, GSRT, my SPAC trade money into this one.
Yeah, I'll leave the specifics to it, to the Discord where we've gone through all the numbers. But suffice to say, I don't think on a relative valuation basis, the market has fully paid attention to GSRT in terms of a new entry into the SMR space.
Uh-oh. There goes Ben. Well, that was good timing. What happened to Ben? Well, what's been happening to Ben? Are you okay?
Oh, there he is.
It must be my connection.
Yeah, I think it is your
my
connection
internet.
because I had to do that earlier. Oh, anyway, it was good timing this time. Thanks to there he goes. He's
Yeah,
like,
there he goes again.
I'm not even gonna let you say goodbye. I'm just out of here. When you guys talk to him next, thank him. Great job here today. Godfather, Rhett, thank you both for being here today. We'll follow up with you next week, okay?
Of course. Have a good one. Take care.
All right.
Okay, guys.
That
Good.
is Godfather and Rhett and Ben. Story Trading did a great job. They'll be back next week. Now I'm going to send you over to Futures Fever with Kevin. So just sit tight, folks. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.